Konnichiwa minasan. Selamat petang kepada anda di Malaysia dan selamat hari Ahad to everybody else. Selamat datang diucapkan kepada anda yang mengikuti sesi secara langsung dan juga anda yang telah menonton sesi ini setelah live stream berakhir ke kolaborasi STOMACHOFCHAOS.com bersama laman pop culture suka ramai BuzzPopTV. Seperti biasa, saya Kudo Maharizu dari laman blog STOMACHOFCHAOS.com bersama para panelis dari BuzzPop akan memberi reaksi dan ulasan kepada siri anime PLUTO yang disiarkan di laman streaming Netflix sebanyak 8 episod. So bersama saya malam ni panelis terdiri daripada we got somebody missing. What happened to him? Anyway, we'll start with you, Munif Malik. How are you, man?
Guys? What's up? I'm fine, thank you. So finally excited to be talking about this.
Yes,
Excited to be talking about this.
Yeah. I'm excited too. So next on the list is Andri Alwi, Isakai Waifu Hunter dan Kuga. I forgot what your adjective for your Kuga just now because tak nampak. But anyway,
Kuga Slayer. Yeah.
Kuga Slayer.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Because today I'm going to use without my mic. Something's wrong.
Oh, you ke? Alah, hai. Alright.
So can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly well. But can you hear all of us, yeah?
Yeah. Perfect.
Thus far tak ada feedback, tak ada apa, so that's alright lah.
Yeah, hi guys. Tell your wives I said hello, and your mom, I'll be home a bit late, and your daughters and sisters that I want my money trapped full.
There you go, as usual. Dan juga panelis kita ketiga, Jamal Raslan, kaki buku manga literature dan 20th Century Boy.
Yes, sir.
How are you today? This evening?
I'm good. Baru balik daripada rushing my errands sekejap. Aku macam Munif tak sabar nak sembang pasal benda ni sebab aku tak pernah budget dia orang nak buat anime. For me, the manga was perfect as it is.
Yep.
And then Netflix in a master stroke announced that they were going to do this anime. I'm like, okay. And then, boom.
Yup. As you are indeed correct. Dan kepada penonton, kita mungkin akan diinfiltrate oleh seorang special guest which may or may not turn out afterwards, but we'll see. So anyway, untuk makluman anda yang belum pernah mengikuti sesi ulasan kami berbincang, kami akan mengandungi spoiler yang berkait dengan siri ini. Dan juga kepada anda yang telah menonton sesi ini setelah live stream berakhir, silalah langgan kepada laman YouTube STOMACHOFCHAOS.com dan BuzzPopTV supaya anda tidak ketinggalan untuk menonton live stream kami yang akan datang. Dan jangan lupa untuk tenyih butang like, langgan dan juga tekan yang benda lah yang tak ada loceng tu. Apparently the algorithm likes it much better if you do that. So anyway, just a quick introduction. Sebagai permulaan, sebagai mukadimah lah tentang siri PLUTO ni. Ia merupakan siri manga Jepun yang dilukis dan ditulis, diadaptasi oleh URASAWA Naoki, seorang mangaka yang he was 63 years old. He's quite well known among fans of seinen manga, and then he's been active since 1981. Dan anda mungkin pernah mendengar IP dia yang lain seperti 20th Century Boys, Monster. Masalah dia, manga dia tak banyak officially in English, although I'm sure you can find some scanlations anywhere on the net. Among other titles yang I'm looking forward to read is like Billy Bat, that's one, Yawara, Master Keaton, and a current series yang tengah tulis sekarang yang available in English is Asadora. He's won several awards by Shogakukan and the Tezuka Osamu Cultural Prize. And just coming back to Pluto, essentially this was a labor of love lah. Dia actually dengan dia punya editor nama Takashi Nagasaki bravely approached the estate of the late Osamu Tezuka, and they were given the green light. So the series was supervised by anak Osamu Tezuka himself, which is Makoto Tezuka, and so this manga was released originally in the Shogakukan punya seinen magazine nama Big Comic Original daripada September 2003 hingga 2009. So 6 years jugalah benda ni keluar, tapi in the end kepada anda yang berminat, also thanks to Bude Jamal actually, because of them I actually bought the manga. So this is it in English. It's by Viz Media, very nicely done. It's only 8 volumes, easy to collect if you are into collecting manga. I mean, for I have to tell you, this is a fantastic read, and I will tell you saya punya reaksi satu ayat later on in a bit with regards to this lah. And just a quick mention lah, kenalah sebut Osamu Tezuka himself. Dia sebagai orang kata the godfather of manga kan. He's well known to, dah tak ada dah sekarang, but he's well known to have written a variety of manga stories and subsequently anime on television. One of the proponents of an anime on television actually, just to say that this Pluto ni sebenarnya diambil daripada satu just a chapter actually called The Greatest Robot on Earth. Yeah. And this is about 50 pages, and this was adapted by Urasawa and Nagasaki. Yang kelakarnya this adaptation is such that it wasn't biji daripada original IP tu, because masa Urasawa dalam satu interview pernah kata masa dia tengok anime tu masa dia budak-budak, dia kata ini bukan cerita budak-budak ni, rasanya ada something, as a kid he could feel that this has something deeper to it, and he think adults would love it. So as you can see, he did this manga, and then bila sekali lagi tanya nak buat apa-apa lagi tak? Dia benar tak mau, sumpah tak nak, because dia kata susah gila. But as you can see, all that hard work paid off. And just a quick mention for this anime, this is done by Studio M2. If it took 10 years for Urasawa to do the manga, it took 10 years for the people at M2 Studios, Maruyama Sensei, owner of M2 and the previous founder for Studio Madhouse dengan Studio Mappa. He came to an anime AX Los Angeles earlier this year, gave an interview, and he was very happy that dia collab dengan Netflix. Because Netflix baling duit dan juga creativity untuk cerita ni tak ditekan langsung, and as we can see, I think all of us will agree that this is one hell of a fantastic anime. But just to inilah, kita dengan pantasnya kita akan terus ke kita punya first section of any bedah session, which is right, reaksi satu ayat. Saya punya reaksi satu ayat senang je. Satu kataan, terkesima. Jamal, R1A please.
Pluto is one of those, kalau if I was younger, Pluto will be one of those titles yang aku akan baca. So when I was younger, I used to have this habit of rereading all the mangas I read and the comics I have. Pluto is an easy decision to do that. Cuma bila aku jumpa Pluto, I was in my 30s kot. Because I think I read it around 2008, between 2008 to 2011, sometime around there. I discovered it by chance sebab a few years earlier aku discovered the wonders of scanlation, and that was when I started following random titles like Haikyuu, quickly caught up on iShield 21, quickly caught up on Bleach, quickly caught up on One Piece. Sebab prior to that, I consume manga by reading Mandarin versions of them, and then I stopped the habit for a long while. So bila aku jumpa Pluto, aku jumpa Pluto lepas aku jumpa 20th Century Boys dengan Monster. So bila my staff dekat HSBC cakap, "Boss, kalau you suka ABC, you confirm akan suka 20th Century Boys, you should watch it." So aku baca 20th Century Boys. I think about 10 issues in, I was like hooked. Lepas tu aku macam, ini bukan Mama yang buat Monster that came out like 10 years prior ke? And turned out it was. And because of that, aku macam, okay, lepas aku katam 20th Century Boys, aku katam Monster. So soon after I finished 20th Century Boys, just before I started Monster, aku macam, Pluto ni bukan planet yang dah tak jadi planet ke? Buka ah. So, and then I read until issue 5 where North number 2 mati. And I was like, how the fuck did you make a man so sad in 15 to 20 pages of manga with arguably even less dialogues per panel tau. Aku macam, how the fuck did you do this? And then in one sitting, aku habiskan Pluto, and I was like, immediately the next day, I was like telling it to everyone I meet. Kau baca anime, kau tengok, kau baca manga, okay, baca Pluto. And everyone was like, tak, kau kena baca Death Note, kau kena baca Monster. No, you stop, you read Pluto first. So that was my reaction to Pluto the manga. So fast forward, aku rasa awal tahun ni Munib, macam some random update on Netflix punya social media, tiba-tiba macam, okay, we are going to come up with Pluto punya anime. Macam what? And bila aku tengok series ni, I was very happy. One, it had very minimal changes from the manga. Any of the 6-8 changes are merely adaptation requirements, meaning bila kau adapt from paper or page to the screen, kau memang kena buat certain changes, tak boleh buat apa. It did not disrupt. In fact, I think aku missed about 4 of the changes on first watch. Satu. Nombor 2, I feel that there are certain moments that added so much weight and gravitas to the scene. Masa Atom mati, masa Uran dengan Pluto yang dia tak tahu Pluto tu lukis the mural that came alive. On the pages kau tak nampak sangat. And then the flashback moments, or the moments when Pluto had a realization going through his memories, and then ada the fields of sunflower semua tu, that shit you cannot execute on page lah. So for that reason alone, thank you so much for adapting it. And then aku rasa the most important thing is that now many people can enjoy Pluto. I think that is the biggest win. Urasawa do not need this, Pluto do not need this, Tezuka do not need this. But with this, siapa yang macam yes, Urasawa was the guy who did Monster. Macam if you did not watch Monster, now is an excuse for you to watch Monster. It's just a great introduction point, a great reintroduction to Astro Boy. Again, we did not need this, but for this, I think the world is richer, the anime world is richer, the manga world is richer. The rest of the world will know, more people will know Urasawa, and more people will know Tezuka. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me lah.
Nice one. Reaksi satu ayat daripada anda, Munif.
Kalau for the anime adaptation, satu benda, actually I can surmise it into one word even, which is fulfill. Sebab I remember all those years ago, back when I was at UiTM Perak studying architecture, so one random evening dekat rumah just scrolling tu macam online kan, there were all the mangas that were available. I remember that time tak ingat pasal apa, but there was a break lah, macam segala Naruto, One Piece semua macam tak ada update kan. So I was like, maybe I try to read something new. Apa yang ada lah. And then I think I must have Googled and say, what is the 10 best sci-fi, 10 best mind bending thingies kan, yang macam orang ada buat rank-rank tu. So at multiple lists ada sebut Pluto. So aku macam, you know what? Since the tribe has spoken, let's give it a check. So when I read it, so back then my reaction to the manga was that okay, this is good sci-fi. Like this noir kind of stories, who done it lah, benda semua kan. So you are engulfed in the mystery. You also macam teka, siapa yang buat kan? Siapa yang buat? Kenapa dia buat benda semua ni? And then because of my dumbass, because like bila dah nak datang buku 7 ke 8 macam, I don't know why, but kalau if you look at the books, Denti macam dia ada one reoccurring theme in the backdrop of dia punya artwork tu. Dia tu macam siluet kepala Astro Boy tau. Dia macam nampak bulat, macam ada dua tocang gitu kan.
The last one ke?
Macam bila dia every book ada, tak silap aku. Every book ada. If I'm not mistaken. So when I was at like must have been book 7 or something. Tiba-tiba mata aku macam fixated on that silhouette. Dia macam that looks a whole lot like the Astro Boy punya kepala. Lepas that's when aku macam tiba-tiba it hit. Bila you know, especially the scenes yang bila Atom datang kan, tu dia macam wait. Because of my ignorance, macam termindfuck diri sendiri tau. So that enhanced my experience reading. I said, are you kidding me? This is Astro Boy. Bila masa jadi macam so dark, so macam poignant, so macam crazy sampai macam ni. So aku macam termind blown diri sendiri. And then by the time I got to the final book, I can remember it clear as day. Bila aku tengok masa dia lawan dengan Bora apa semua, I'm imagining what the music must sound like in my head now. Bila diorang having that almighty clash kan, for the fate of the world of semua. So when I was done with the manga, memang kepala otak memberasap macam Jamal agak. I went to all these otakus that I know and just started telling them to, you guys need to drop whatever the hell you're reading sekarang and give Pluto a try or give it a chance. You will not regret it. Aku tahu kan. So that's why when randomly awal tahun ni Tita kata, not only the first time I dengar there was announcement of an anime, it came with that teaser. And then you see Gesik in action apa semua kan. So macam, yo, are you kidding me kan? Lepas tu when the anime finally hit and I've completed it, and like I said, I felt I was taken back to my university days when I was flipping the pages and imagining what the music must be, what the voices must sound like in my head. Yeah. And then when the anime, when Netflix, kudos to them, delivered macam tu, that's why I say my reaksi satu ayat at the end of the anime was fulfilled. This was what I was dreaming of. This is what I was imagining. And this is how it came out with really slick animation, great music, and great voice acting. So macam, what more can I say apart from thank you? And macam Jamal cakap, we actually didn't need this. There was no calls for it. There was no clamoring for it. There was no viral campaigning for it. It's just, they just gave us a blessing we didn't deserve. Tiba-tiba. So macam, thank you so much for that.
I would just like to add, I mean, things like dia macam, in the past, I mean, not in the past, in recent years, whenever we talk about NEIP, we talk about the concept of, we didn't ask for this, we are clamoring for this or whatever. But if you think about it, back in the old days, stories just come out. Kan kita tengok je whether it's good or not. But I think it's more of a concept that we are more familiar with currently lah. In the days of you know, when people want, I want it now, I want this thing now or whatever. But this is like macam as if we are back in the good old days when, oh my god, they're doing this. And then when you see the trailer, you see that they've delivered in a lot of sense, but although albeit guardedly, itu pun because sekarang kita macam beberapa kali dah di apa panggil? Disappoint by the likes of say Netflix kan. But although this is not a live action, but I think we first saw this in earlier Bedahs earlier this year when we were talking about stuff. I think we were talking about Jigokuraku Munif, because you were in the panel at that time, and then I showed the clip from the AX, and then we saw the teaser trailer for the first time, and we were like, hell yeah. Anyway, Andri, what's your reaksi? Satu ayat or satu perenggan atau satu essay? Go ahead.
It's gonna be a line. Pluto was basically, to me, right, an imperfect epic. Okay, to me lah. It's this anime is really, really good, and across the board, right, it's mostly positive reviews, but there was some critical about it, and I can't understand why. But here's the thing now: you watch how Pluto is presented on Netflix, right? This is a callback to the anime of before 2000 now. You know, during the 90s, 80s, 60s, the anime is that gives you fascinates you, intrigues you, and when the end appeared, right, it gives you a hanging feeling now, a satisfied hanging feeling, which is very hard to do now. I am like most pandang kan, aku tak baca dia punya, I didn't read the manga or light novel if there's one lah. I just watched the anime. And from start to finish kan, everything was done perfectly. It kept me, thinking. All 8 episodes out. I thought it would be something like Watchmen, because usually when 10 of the best robots, one of them got killed, right? The usual suspect, logically, right, is basically one of them, because
one of the other robots. Yeah.
So after the 4th episode, I'm like, okay, maybe it's not the case lah. The hole's deeper. And I just love the way the characters kan all are portrayed now. They're all killable. They all are very deep, even though they had limited appearances now. Like North number 2 now. I think that his story is the most interesting to me now, because he actually started a relationship with a guy who does not want a relationship with anyone at all, because of dia punya keadaan and dia punya childhood upbringing lah, especially with dia punya mother lah. That was very deep, but we connect because we relate to the old man as we age older, right? We relate to the old man. Life is bitter, life is unfair, we get bullied, everything doesn't work out, even though we do our best, and you get frustrated, angry, alone, and we understood him. That's why we don't need to know a lot about him or listen to him talk about him now. So we understand that. And North number 2, right? We know his story. He was a robot who got tired of killing, and then these two, when they come together, right? It's nothing much. They just vibe with each other, and then a new story is told. You don't get that much in any anime now. So if it comes to storytelling, right? If it's a scale on 1 to 10, this is easily above 10. Okay, it's probably a 12. But what can you expect from the guy who actually did Monster?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So that's my reaksi satu ayat, my basically initial description of Pluto. I have a lot more to say, but we have a format, so I don't want to be all over the place lah.
Actually, the format we're going to be slightly all over the place, but I'm just picking up on North number 2 here. So kita akan ke segmen seterusnya untuk soalan pertama. Okay, this is slightly a bit off kilter, but obviously kepada anda yang dah menonton siri ni dan membaca manga ni, chapter yang berkenaan dengan North number 2 is pretty much following the first book after the first events that had happened. Dan juga yang cantiknya pasal cerita North number 2 ni, pasal it's like it's like telling one part of a bigger story, but this story, for me lah, mostly has nothing to do with the overarching plot or arc of of Pluto, other than just saying that this is a robot that used to kill people because they were involved in the same war with quite a few of the other 7 greatest, well, all but one. And I think the adaptation is so beautiful that I've put in the background in a slower volume, and hopefully anda semua boleh dengar lagu bertajuk Cherish Memories. And if you think about it, this is in a manga. So this person, whoever wrote this, I mean, the person who did the score for the IP is Kano Yugi, he's done quite a few other animes as well. But I was looking in the net and tried to find the credits to the person who actually wrote this song. I think nama dia Akihibe something. I'll put it down in the comments later on. And it's so beautiful. And if kepada anda yang, I don't play piano, but I can tell if people are playing it, but as it is, they've actually had somebody playing it and they animated the person playing it. And you can actually get the notes anyway on the net if you actually play the piano. Okay, that's just me rambling about the music in this episode. I think Jamal was one person who mentioned also earlier on about the impact this episode had. Jamal, if you want to talk some more about this, or if anybody else, go ahead.
Okay, I will start and then korang masuk. So for me, the one thing Urasawa is very good at is setting pace and setting intrigue. So kalau kau tengok semua title dia, the first all his titles, the first 10 to 20 or 30 issues, no lah, just lower it down. The first 10 to 15 issues will be very even pace, and it sets up characters in a very compelling way, tapi dia tak overdo tau. So there are certain titles, there are certain mangakas who love the dramatic, who love the Michael Bay of the page, you know, ada explosion, ada big reveal, ada these really nice sweeping panels, really gorgeous art. Don't get me wrong. So there are so many ways to catch audiences or readers in the first, say, 5 pages of the first issue or the first 5 issues and so on. Urasawa doesn't do that. Urasawa lets the story tell itself. So in that sense, dia macam kalau kau suka shonen, when you're taking a break from your shonen titles, you read an Urasawa. Or and sometimes you cannot read too many Urasawas in one go because a lot of his basically all of his titles, as whimsy, as fantasy like as it is, dia kau baca tu kan first few pages kau dah tahu okay, cerita ni cerita serius. Cuma mungkin kat watak dia lawak ke apa benda ke, but you know like this is a story. This man, I am here to tell you a story. That's the background. This is the lead character. Everything is introduced very well. The setting is established very well. Macam Monster is one of the best intros that I've read. Like even though kalau kau tengok anime dia, it's just the first episode. But you read like I think the first 2 issues of Monster, you think like, oh, ni cerita hospital je. Nope, I'm sorry, bro. It is not cerita hospital. It's not some doctor drama shit. No, it's even like you wouldn't even think of it going there. So similarly, for apa nama ni Pluto, he starts off like that, but he doesn't waste any time to tell you that this story is in a utopian future, and AI, robots and men, AI and men are living in harmony, and there are rules that has been established. But he doesn't waste time to tell you where this come from, all the history. They just cakap, okay, now one of the 7 strongest robots in the world died. Like he didn't die. He got assassinated. He got hunted. He got assassinated, and by far he is the strongest out of the 7 in terms of physical ability ke apa benda ke. So he's the first one to go down. And not just that, when he at his death, the place where he died, there is this very sinister signage of 2 horns using some ranting kayu and whatever not. Okay, welcome to Pluto. He does that. Dan kalau kau tengok balik manga tu, Kudo, you have the manga. You can count how many words he spent to establish that, up to the point where dia bagi kita that 1-page feature, that 1-page panel where kita nampak apa nama ni, Mont Blanc punya badan semua dah kena koyak-koyak semua kan, dah hancur. Lepas tu dia tanduk tu. You can count how many words he used. That in essence is what Urasawa is. So imagine bila kita sampai kat North 2, yang kita macam, oh, so this world tiba-tiba semua orang ada robot ni kena mati, AI yang 7 strongest AI kena hunt, dan so the strongest one physically dah mati. Shit, what's going to happen to the other 6? And then the cool thing about Urasawa is the moment he knows that he got you in, he goes, okay, I need to tell you a story about each robot. Each robot has to be given their space and time, and they have to die, right? So he worked out how every robot is going to be part of the narrative of this story tau. He worked out how the 2 robot yang suka lawan tu, yang Aku lupa. Seorang tu dekat Turki, seorang tu dekat Germany or something like that. I always forgot their names.
Achilles dengan Brando.
Achilles dengan Brando.
Brando.
Brando, everybody loves Brando lah. So, okay. So, he knows that Achilles and Brando, korang adalah fighter. So, I need to tell you about Pluto by you choosing to fight Pluto knowing that you will die. Okay, that's how I will introduce Pluto via you two. Astro Boy, okay, kau adalah orang yang akan menang at the end. And then Epsilon, okay, you will come as the guy that is peaceful, the robot that seems like you have a conscience. You don't have a soul like Astro Boy, but you have a conscience, so on and so forth. And then he goes like, how the fuck am I gonna tell North 2 punya story? Like all the 6 robots has their thing to tell about Pluto. Then North 2, you are just a fighter robot, right? You are a fighter robot that cannot do much with regards to fighting Pluto, and you cannot give any wisdom or give any hints to everyone else. So what am I going to do with you? So what he does is, okay, I'm going to take a break from Brando, and I will now tell, oh no, not Brando. I think I was going to take a break from Astro Boy or something, and I'm going to tell the story of North 2 purely because he will be the mirror for the rest of the story. For people who wants to know whether AI can, what is the AI struggle? What is an AI punya desires?
Sekejap dia nak interrupt. North 2 punya cerita is virtually in volume 1.
Yeah.
After the first news of the death of Mont Blanc.
Yeah.
Masa tu pun tak banyak tunjuk pun, like you said. I was doing number 4 pages saja. Itu pun dia tak tunjuk lagi lukisan dengan tanduk tu. Obviously the adaptation for the anime was slightly different in the sense that they did show it, but as you say, it's for the sake of, you know, different on paper and all that. But like you say, dengan tak semena-menanya, 2 chapter on North 2 immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
In this book. Okay, go ahead.
So this is a masterclass in storytelling in my humble opinion. Sebab dia dah set engkau, okay, ni cerita Pluto dia dah start, Mont Blanc mati. Okay, we know the premise of the story. It feels great. Okay, it feels intriguing. Now, before you make up your mind on anything, okay, let's take a side trip. Let's go to the Alps. Let's go hang out with this blind composer who is a bitter old man. And then we will pair him, macam Ari cakap, with the worst possible robot AI butler pairing. A guy who doesn't want to feel, but interestingly, out of all the 7, he is the guy that feels the least, and because of that, he is the AI that wants to feel the most. But he does that by being very inquisitive lah. What does it feel like to do this? What does it feel like to do this? And he gets an embittered old man who feels the most in all his world because dia buta, dia kecil, but dia tak boleh nak tunjuk benda tu, and he has been bitter for his entire life. So this robot will not get the answer it wants from this bitter old man. Because this bitter old man cannot even talk to a fellow human, let alone an AI wanting to learn how to be a human. But because that is the setting, right after kita dah intro Pluto, what happens is Urasawa uses this North 2 storyline to tell you, guys, if you think the AI in this book is going to be like AI ke artificial cerita AI ataupun cerita iRobot yang Will Smith berlakon tu, no. These are the AIs in this world that I'm creating. AIs like North 2 yang they are programmed to be human-like to the point that they realize they are not human, and they do this very futile thing of like, I wonder and I want to do human things so that I will feel less inhuman because I know I will never be human. Faham tak? But in the process of North 2 doing that embittered old man finds his humanity. Gila kau. On paper. Kalau anime ke, you know, live action, this has been done many times, kan? Kita tak kagum lah benda tu. On paper. And he does it in a way where kalau siapa yang baca manga dia, the first issue, kan aku kata ada 2 issue. So the first issue where they introduce North 2 dengan this old man, banyak dialog lah because diorang ada banyak back and forth. The second issue, before North 2 mati, aku rasa macam 10 page tak ada dialog. It's just panel after panel after panel after panel.
Betul, jom kita practice piano. And then in typical Japanese punya storytelling, I mean I'm a fan of maybe cinema, maybe drama and some anime. They love the bittersweet end of a film. A bittersweet end yang tergantung that makes you feel like could it be or could it not be? I think it could be, but you know full well dalam hati kau, no, it didn't happen. And it's so I'm just picking this up from just like what's his name, Makoto Shinkai punya wayang 5 cm a second to flippy neck, the ending, man. Kau macam yeah. Anyway, back to Jamal.
So that is why these two issues remain my favorite 30 or so panels in comic/graphic novel history, whatever language. I don't care. Okay? Because that is a master of craft, of story, not even of manga ke of art. I know I like Urasawa punya style because bila dia lukis orang putih kau tahu dia ni orang putih. Dia lukis Turkish kau tahu dia lukis Turkish. Dia lukis Jepun kau tahu mama ni Jepun. Like and not many mangakas make money at the level of Urasawa does with his style. Regardless, bila kau tengok these two panels kau macam you can take pages and tell a story and you boleh padatkan, inti dia adalah this case of humanity di mana seorang manusia yang telah lupakan kemanusiaan tetapi menulis dengan penuh kemanusiaan sebab dia bitter lah kan. Dia teringat kembali kemanusiaan dia dengan seorang robot yang nak menjadi manusia walaupun dia sedar dia takkan boleh jadi manusia. Dan cara robot ni nak jadi manusia simple je. Aku nak belajar lagu ni. Aku just nak tahu rasa macam mana kalau aku tahu aku tak boleh jadi manusia. Like he's not even forcing the issue. And then kan bila kau rasa macam when you get so locked into this two story macam wow, I wonder if this North gonna learn how to play piano. Nope. Tiba-tiba dia detect, okay, the typhoon is coming, which means Pluto is on its way. He doesn't even say anything. He doesn't even say anything to the composer. He just leaves and you know why. The reader immediately knows why. Aku tahu kenapa kau terbang. Can you like imagine like how I felt like God back in 2008 or 2010 aku macam wow, daripada aku tidur pukul 11 aku terus tidur pukul 4 pagi. Macam I'm gonna finish this shit, besok masuk office lambat sikit. It was like that, and I think this is why Pluto became very strong. Urasawa uses a very compelling story in and of itself very early on to tell people, yup, this is the story I'm going to tell. But hey, now let's get back to the whodunit. And then you go like, oh shit, ada whodunit lagi sebenarnya.
And then and then so much more, kan?
So much more. So macam that is brilliant lah, brilliant.
And then just to add that he actually did Pluto whilst doing 20th Century Boys. I think we had a little chat sometime among our panelists, BuzzPop on WhatsApp recently about whether or not mangakas do more than one work. In most of the time they just do one at a time, but there are exceptions, and this was one of the exceptions in which he actually was doing 20th Century Boys at the same time. Anybody else has anything else to add? Oh, sorry.
So, Kudo, before they add something, this nak mention, and there is a parallel between 20th Century Boys dengan Pluto. Dua-dua anime tu, dua-dua title tu ada lagu yang dia tulis. Dan dia tulis kat dalam series tu, dan the characters in the series are people who are deeply affected by the songs. So kau bayangkan orang yang baca manga, babi aku nak tahulah lagu ni macam mana, So as a result, there are a bunch of 20th Century Boy fans who actually tapped out the song and played it out. So if you go to Japan, occasionally at open mics, there will be people performing that song. That was the song that the guy sings while cooking the best fried rice in the world. And that song is a pretty cool, very, very J-pop song lah. But yeah, Urasawa is Urasawa. So aku macam, man, dude is crazy lah.
I mean, and before anybody pipes in, I don't know, Jamal, whether you've watched the film. There's no anime for 20th Century Boys, but there's a trilogy of films. And there is the song, yang KG nyanyi tu, which sounds like shit. I don't know whether or not that is how the fans interpreted the song. But bukan lah teruk sangat, tapi macam Allah macam ni je kau tulis, tapi but then again I don't know lah. But I'll have to find out. Yes.
Aku tak tengok sebab I have an aversion to Japanese live action manga adaptations.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, actually Japanese
Super Sentai aku on. Tapi kalau live action adaptation aku macam
live adaptation dia tengok adaptasi dia. Before, for example, like Rurouni Kenshin, I cannot fault them at all. But the thing is, if you compare East Asian cinema, kalau macam China can be arty, South Korea can be very good Hollywoody. Japan, unfortunately, maintains a degree of orang panggil stereotypical storytelling that can amount to ya Allah macam ni je cerita kau. But anyway, anyway, I mean you guys don't have to talk about chapter ni anymore, but if you guys anybody nak tambah can tambah now. And
I have like just sikit to add lah. Because if just now Jamal dah cakap at length about the machinations of this scene, macam for me pula it's more to maybe a recollection of what I experienced through this scene lah. Sebab again, like I mentioned before, why I stumbled into the series because I was looking for some good sci-fi to read. Lepas tu, this was like on top of like so many lists. So when I checked it out, I was expecting, okay, so like, you have 7 powerful robots, you're going to get picked off one by one, and then it's going to be this big robot brawls and everything. And then it started off with, what we saw with what happened with Mont Blanc and all that. So I thought we were on course towards fulfilling that very generic expectations of mine. But then when we get to number 2 punya cerita ni, like you said, the minimal dialogue, the banter between them, that questions of what what defines humanity, or can a robot be human, and so on. And then you have all those panels like without words even. So then when I'm reading that part, I was like, you start to realize that, hey, you know what, maybe I'm not, maybe this is gonna veer a bit from whatever the hell it is I expected this story was going to be, though. So tiba-tiba dia sangat take dia punya time. Macam suddenly you feel marinated. What are they cooking? Why are they marinating me like this? So I thought we're gonna jump to one chapter, one robot, one chapter, one robot. Fight of the week like that macam tu kan. But then you start to get marinated in North number 2 punya story, and that's when I realized that this is probably something special because if I'm not mistaken, even for the Ghibli shows and all these other shows and very poignant, they have that concept of what they kata ma, or like that space in between kan. Macam dia bukan this continuous choking you down with action ke apa ke, but there's this pause in between plot machinations that actually makes the whole thing macam more in depth, more palatable macam tu lah. So upon finishing the whole story, I realized this whole North number 2 kind of plotline was a huge ma in the general story. It was a pause sekejap to let you marinate and everything, so that there will be explosions and death and whatever eventually, but this story just adds a layer of care towards those future deaths and explosions that you will experience, or making it like that more deeper lah. Yeah, there you go, that thing. So as I said, this North number 2 in the story is a huge ma in the general storytelling for me though, which is obviously really great lah. This is why, even though this is the least action packed part of the story, it's also the part where even Jamal, many consider to be the best part of the story, as definitely one of the most memorable parts of the story. So, and again, like I said, I want to recollect my experience a bit. When I was reading this part, in the beginning, my shonen filled brain was like, what's it? This is going to talk? This is going to be like boring ke benda kan? Lepas makin lama baca, I don't even realize that I was starting to give a shit about this guy.
Yep.
So, and in fact, when I was drowning in the North number 2 punya story, I completely forgot about the whole, someone's gonna pick off like the 7 robots one by one. Terlupa terus pasal tu. Just got engulfed in this, and I'm like, come on, old man, ajarlah dia main lagu kan, relax lah. bila dah baca, and then tu cakap again, macam Jamal cakap, is Urasawa is a master of storytelling. Pasal apa? I fell to his trap. I forgot the overarching story. I was in too deep with these 2 characters, and then the inevitable happened. The sky turned grey, and then dread filled my heart. I'm like, Allah, aku dah invested sangat with these guys, and then the sky turned grey. Oh no, janganlah datang sini. God damn it. So, and then macam you saw the sky without any word, what's going to happen to North number 2. But by then it's like, gotcha, hook, line and sinker. Kau dah invested kan, kau dah sayang dia ni kan. But you know this is going to happen. The 7 strongest robots going to pick off one by one, and you still let your guard down, you idiot. So now despair kan. So aku macam okay, I fell for it, memang terkena lah. So these are the kind of beautiful narrative traps that, you know, these are the things, dia jadi core memory in your life. Oh. You remember this for the rest of your lifetime, man. So it's, yeah, again, like I said, this whole North Number 2 thing was a big in the overarching story, and you don't see it at that time, but by the time you end the story, then you come to this realization that wow, that was really good. I can't even begin to tell you why it's good or where it became good, but somehow, somewhere, the ingredients of that you can find in the North Number 2 part of the story. You know? And so that's what this was for me.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the Ma was, if this was in the middle of say volume 4 of a 8-volume book, you know, a story, I can understand. But this is like early on dia dah dia dah buat the break, and it's not a complaint, but it's so interesting that he can do that, and
it works somehow.
It works very hard. And Andri, ada apa nak tambah?
There's nothing much to add, because a lot of the things that we Jamal and Munif mentionkan is the obvious things that we like about the story. It's just obvious. It's just fascinating to know, right, that this story about North Number 2 is almost like a filler, because it doesn't actually advance the plot of the murders now. Yeah. And we just vibe with these 2 characters, and then at the end of the episode kan, Pluto came symbolically kan, the main plot kan, attacks the filler episode punya type of scenario between these 2 characters tau. I think that's a brilliant way to actually advance the plot back to the main storyline tau. I mean, we could have just watched these 2 you know, build their relationship, MC the old guy, you know, become more open, more happier, more one person. But no. Let's just kill off North Number 2. And we end the story with the old man. We don't know what's going to happen to him after North Number 2 punya death. Maybe he died from a broken heart, or maybe he just, you know, sit there and died waiting for him to come back. We'll never know. This is one of the hanging things that I mentioned about the old anime stories. You every time it ends, you wanted to see more, but they don't give you more because they're that's the way it is for anime at the time. Now anime, when they end after 12 episodes kan, it's mostly a happy ending, tak perlu sambung lagi. That's not the way what we did during the 90s, 80s, 2000s.
And that's
yeah, and how crazy it is kan, that not only the Pluto, the symbol of the main plot for this murder mystery, which is actually the whole story of Pluto, right, come to break the Phillips away. It didn't reveal much, okay? We just see a storm coming, could be symbolic, you know, here comes the storm, or like most stories kind of shit's gonna happen, and
winter's coming,
storms coming, there's a bad wind coming ahead or something like that lah, all those bullshit lah. Doesn't reveal much, but affects us a lot, because we see the battle occurring above. And how ironic is it kan? The only witness there is a blind old man. You know, that's everything is symbolic for this episode now. And Automaton is making an old man who is human most of his life being human back again. Everything is an ironic, symbolic storytelling at its best now. Filler episode ends because the main plot literally comes to stop all this feel good bullshit that's happening. So I can't understand why we still have haters for this series. I mean, if you see a lot of online reviews kan, they say it's a slow burn, but it's still good. Anime of the year has been chirped a lot by these reviewers. But we have some critical reviews that we cannot actually ignore, because by the end of Pluto, right, we do see some things that we wish would happen, some changes lah, but that's a bit unfair because that's not our story to tell.
Anyway, so just
aku nak tambah dua benda aku nak tambah dua benda very quickly, just very quick.
okay.
Point number one, when I was listening to Munif cerita pasal Ma tadi tu, I think what Urasawa has been quite clever of, and after reading Monster, 20th Century Boys and 21st Century Boys, he didn't do this in either, in the three. And aku baca Billy Bat for like the first 10 issues and then I'm macam, okay, this is not my thing. This North number 2 punya storyline is him giving the readers, okay, for the rest of the story of Pluto, I want you to read the story in this frame of mind. So through this lens of this North number 2 versus the punya composer tu, and the humanity, the questions about humanity and relationships between humans and robots and humans and all that. Okay, dia kata this is the lens that you should be reading the subsequent episodes of Pluto until the end. And I think that was very clever. Immediately after North number 2, kita punya minds and our hearts is already set, okay, I'm invested in Pluto. I'm going to read. I want to know who the fucker killed North number 2. But at the same time, I want to know this force behind all these killings. Apa yang kau nak sebenarnya ni? Jahat sangat ke robot ni? Yang di mana robot ni kita telah nampak berjaya membantu manusia. You know? So that he frames this whole humans versus robots via this really, really compelling story. Very poignant. And he does it very early so that when we don't have to think about this, and he doesn't have to write this into any other character. He doesn't have to write Astro Boy bagi ceramah pasal ni. He doesn't have to write doesn't have to write a character where character tu akan bagi ceramah tentang manusia versus AI dan sebagainya. All that has been pretty much answered and presented by this story early on, and I think that is very clever as a story from a storytelling perspective. Number 2, one of my favorite parts upon watching this anime, aku tak ingat part ni masa baca manga, is bila North number 2 buka dia punya cloak. So all the robots, we were able to see the robots in full body, in full flight, full silhouette, full figure tau. And we get to marvel at them. We marvel at Mont Blanc in flashback scenes. We saw Brando and Achilles duking it out. Astro Boy is Astro Boy. We saw Epsilon. We saw Uran is not part of it. Guessing we see Air all the time. So kita tak nampak North 2. And then bila dia dah build up, I killed many robots because bila komposer tu tanya how many robots did you kill, he didn't want to answer because he knew that was barbaric, you know, in an AI punya term. So for me, bila dia buka dia punya cloak tu, nak tunjuk dia punya badan tu, it's him. It's the symbolism of, okay, this is a robot stripping himself naked to show to this blind composer who cannot see and still insists on seeing it, that this is him coming clean. This is who I am. I make no apologies for it, but this is me with you right now, trying to redeem myself by learning how to become more human. Kau faham tak? Like, how can you, where did you as a mangaka figure out this is a great way to show yang manusia yang buta, pakcik tua and bitter ni, kau tak berani nak reveal semua dalam hati kau. Sebab kau takut, kau insecure, kau ada banyak penyesalan, kau banyak kemarahan. Robot ni quote unquote bogel depan kau. You know? So I think that imagery is just absolutely brilliant. That is like that symbolism, that choice of symbolism went whoosh on me when I was reading the manga because I was rushing through it because so excited. But watching the anime, I savored it. I'm macam, oh, you mofo, okay, to quote Samuel L. Jackson. Sial lah kau, Urasawa. You really, like, this is just 2 issues, man, but you really captured everything. This is a robot stripping himself naked to tell the man that is blind, just accept your humanity, accept who you are. You know, just accept it. And the moment the old man accepted, what happened? North dah mati. Kau faham tak? Why? Why do you do this to us? Yeah, so this is why I love this. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done on North 2.
Anyway, just something.
You ask why, I can answer you. He gets off on people's suffering. Seriously, yeah. This is what he does.
Okay,
Bittersweet macam kita tahu tu, bittersweet.
just some trivia. North 2 disuarakan oleh seiyu veteran terkenal Yamadera Koichi. Anda mungkin pada pemik yang seiyu punya fans like, bukanlah fan, geek like myself, I like to find out who the actors are. Dia pernah melakon suarakan Spike Spiegel dalam Cowboy Bebop, dan juga Togusa dalam Ghost in the Shell. And dan dia juga boyfriend kepada Katsuragi dalam Neon Genesis Evangelion. Okay, dan lagi satu trivia. Okay, I think we saw bukanlah argument, a slight heated discussion about this bit of the anime. The manga. But then a doctor from Japan came to see me. He was actually unlicensed, what you might call an underground doctor. He told me that he could save me, but that I might lose my sight. Pelakon suara untuk anime version untuk Doctor 2 adalah Otsuka Akio, which is Metal Gear Solid Snake, dan juga pelakon suara untuk Blackjack.
I wonder why.
It's not been officially confirmed, but Urasawa likes to throw in little bits and bobs like that. So it's a homage to the fact that Totoka had a character called Blackjack. So Duan, have some comfort that you were kind of right. Anyway,
Duan's assertion was that was Blackjack.
Definitely.
It's not Blackjack, but
it could be.
No, it could be. It is an homage to
Homage
Blackjack.
lah. Yalah. I mean,
because
universe dia lain.
Satu universe lain. Dua is that Urasawa did ask permission from Tezuka to make an homage to Blackjack.
Yeah,
because it's a different IP.
And therefore the studio nodded to that fact.
Follow the nod and take the seiyu from
call the
Blackjack.
seiyu for Blackjack to do the voice.
Anyway. Studio akan cakap, lah dah mangaka buat homage to Blackjack, takkan aku nak panggil seiyu Son Goku kot, aku kena panggil seiyu Blackjack lah.
Anyway, okay, on to the next question. So kita akan segmen kita yang seterusnya. Okay. Saya punya soalan yang kedua ni, it's not going to be in the order what I'm giving to you. I'm just like picking up according to the feel of what we've been discussing. Okay, pada pendapat saya, dunia Pluto ni, interpretation di dunia Pluto yang diinterpret oleh Urasawa daripada IP original Osamu Tezuka ni, it's a very layered, surprisingly. Well, not surprisingly, but very layered. Atau berlapis dan tak nampak contrived actually. Tak nampak macam dia kena buat just for the sake of it. Setuju atau tidak? Who wants to go first? Munif?
Boleh. Okay, that's the thing. Again, I go back to my assumptions at this point. Like I said, when I first read the manga, I was hoping for, a good sci-fi to just give me that sci-fi fix lah, basically. So I would have been happy with some very typical stuff just to read and pass the day. So when I was first reading this, again, not knowing that this was freaking Astro Boy, tapi masa first tengah baca ni macam, okay lah, so robots with feelings, so yada, and I thought that was the extent of that lah, because these are some things that has been this type of IP dah banyak, robots with feelings, and that pretty much sums up a lot of video games, mangas, and even Hollywood movies. So I thought, okay lah, I'll be pretty happy with this. It's fine. But then when you start to see, wait a minute, the origins of this conflict is something that hits home, macam very rapat, because you talk about the Central Asian War, which is essentially, all the mess in the Middle East that we're seeing like going on right now lah. Dulu with Iraq, now with Palestine, and then Afghanistan, and all that. And so, suddenly there's an element of that. So there's some depth to the origin of this robo sci-fi. Okay, I'll give you credit for those layers. Right? But then as the story goes, then you start to you know, lagi-lagi pasal when they discuss about how do you revive a dead AI, is that you need to introduce a tinge of chaos into them, strong emotions. Kalau tak, dia tak bangun. And then suddenly you're like, but why though? And then that's when they start to debate about the, you know, the perfections of imperfections. And then you start to question yourself, wait, why are these robots displaying more humanity than people? But then it's also confirmed that these robots do not have humanity. They can just simulate, they can just mimic and repeat the actions. Macam Jamal cakap lah, just they will settle on being less inhuman. So, but then at the same time, through the eyes of many, some of these actions makes them completely human than actual humans. So suddenly you're like, wait, aku just nak tengok robo brawl. Why am I kenapa aku start fikir pasal all this geopolitical bullshit, and I'm thinking of all this, what it means to be humans, like bagi you this existential crisis sikit lah benda semua kan. So to say that it is multifaceted and really deep and layered, it does not even begin to touch the surface of what's going on with the story. You know, it's insane. Even now, after macam aku tengok the anime adaptation, I'm still like picking up new things. So like for example, we go to the main structure of the story lah. Okay, you have your 7 world's greatest robots getting kicked off one by one. Who done it? Let's stop that shit. Which is actually something you can even see kinda lah in other IPs. Actually, at least a good example yang aku tak pernah terfikir sebelum ni, which is this is kinda Watchmen though, except that the perpetrator is not amongst us. And then also, you know, you can talk about other stories with those 7 deadly sins kinda reflection, like why they being killed one by one, just 7, and they each represent something, a sin ke apa benda semua. So that format has been tried and tested. But it's done in a completely new and poignant way when it comes to Pluto, because like I said, even watching it again, you start to pick up new things. Like for example, one of the things that, you know, this might just me a personal opinion lah, personal kind of analyzation, but I realize that kan bila kita cakap so what it means to be human and the geopolitical crisis and all these themes, that how you know all these are in the story, but how do they bind together seamlessly that it doesn't feel jarring, that the whole narrative memang cantik je? Is because I think upon watching the anime, I kind of get that how they're stringing these things together, that it works. Because the 7 most powerful robots, I believe, okay, they're literally powerful lah. But I also think conceptually, these 7 are considered the most powerful robots are also because they embody the best of humanity, you know. Like literally each one of them are symbolizing a different thing that's supposed to be peak for human embodiment. Like let's just go to Mont Blanc. Like Mont Blanc is like he's a symbolism of love and care for your environment. Number 2 is humanity's affection for the arts, and crafts. And then Gesek is all about love. Hercules is all about, you know, fairness and justice. Dia kata aku mati lah one-on-one. It has to be a one-on-one fight, it has to be a one-on-one duel. It's that or nothing. Lepas tu, and then Brando, who's a family man, and then you have Epsilon, who's selfless. The selflessness of Epsilon, you won't even find it. You know, like most of humanity won't just, hey, let's adopt this bunch of Middle Eastern guys out of nowhere. Let's die for them too. On top of that, even like you know, most of humanity won't even do that. And then Atom is an embodiment of the innocence and childlike wonder and all that. So number 1, I start to realize that the robots actually embodies, you know, that perfection, the peak of humanity. But at the same time, because of this Western intervention, the geopolitical wars that happens that triggered the Central Asian conflict, is also precisely the thing that is killing what's perfect about humanity. Everything that's perfect about humanity gets killed by greed, by war, by the machinations of a higher power. And so you look at all these themes, it's so deep, it's many layers, and you think that they're not really connected to one another, but they take all these real life things and they string it together in a way that it becomes its own thing, you know. So on one hand, it's many layered, and it references a lot of like real life gripes and debates and tribulations, but the way it's strung together makes everything work and gives birth to a completely original story. So and like I said, these are things, it's so in depth that like upon tengok the anime ni, then I start like pick up or they start to realize these things like wow, that's really crazy. And itulah, don't get me started on the whole like the perfections or imperfections. Yang tu pun is very very in depth. Yang tu actually pun masuk dalam science juga lah, because the thing about perfection is that the funny thing is that benda yang perfect doesn't exist. Except for Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala lah kan. But in the mortal realm, in the mortal plane, perfection doesn't exist. And yet we keep using perfection, this thing that doesn't exist, as some kind of gold standard. Tau. When you really think about it, real perfection is in chaos, the chaosness of existence. Tau. So macam the imperfections tu is actually perfection in a way. Dia punya how we got to that eventually lah. So macam cakap, there's many things to think about in this story. And even as aku rasa kalau aku baca the manga lagi sekali kan, aku akan notice even more stuff. So again, to summarize, untuk kata benda ni banyak layer is an understatement. You have no idea until kau sendiri baca benda ni.
Anybody else wants to add to the to answer the question about the layers you see dalam kisah ni? Andri?
Well, it's pretty obvious that this world that you see about Pluto, right? It's multi-layered, because there's a lot of dynamics going on. Even the evil that exists in Pluto, right? The world of Pluto, it's also multi-layered. Tau. You have the Pluto, which is the world planet punya threat, and then there's the nation of it's not America, they call it something else. Japanese word.
Rusia kan?
Tu America.
America.
Oh ni di other country yang
Freedom Real sebenarnya lah.
Negara mana ni? Which country is this? Which country are you describing, Andri? Tak ingat.
The president, the one with the teddy bear.
Oh, sorry. You mean betul lah. US.
It's America, yeah.
Russia. Yeah, they obviously didn't want to.
They play a part in all these murders. They actually led Pluto kan to all these 7 robots, because these 7 robots kan, they are not Americans. Okay. So they had a hand in the murders as well. So they are in behind shadows, and then there's another layer of evil down there, the anti-robot movement, and then there's another layer of evil down there, which is the criminal elements yang nak curi all these weapons and jual weapons, and then there's another layer which is from episode 1, the one yang that guy who killed Robbie yang dadah tu. You see a lot of evils in this story, and then the layer of robot kan, ada yang advance, ada yang tak advance. You can see them from the police robot, yang ada robot tu yang jual bunga, Muhammad, is his name? Muhammad Ali. For some reason that's his name. Tak ada relevan langsung. All this story kan, you think it's multi-layered, and it is. But if you tell me this is the best robot world dynamic in anime history, it's close, but it's not yet. Even Ghost in the Shell, right? You see how the world is, right? It's much more detailed. It's better done. We can argue till the cows come home on which is better, but Pluto is good as it is now. But here's the thing now, that's done intentionally because Pluto kan, the main story kan is about the robot interactions and the robot itself, not the world actually. Unlike most other anime stories now, there's like a global thing happening. But no, this is just about a story between the robots. If you take a step back, look at it, because all these robots who were involved with this murder mystery kan, the Siege, Atom semua ni kan, they don't give a fuck about America. They don't give a fuck about the countries. They just want to know what's going on, how to stop it, how to stop the hatred, at least lah, which is actually a futile exercise kan, if you think about it now. Because whether you're a robot or a human kan, hatred is still going to be there. But Atom at the end can say kan, oh, we must eliminate hatred from the hearts of the blah 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 blah. It's a mood a story point. So in a way that this world is an idealist type of world. It's a sketchbook. The palate, you know, how they're trying to tell the story.
Pala what?
It's this is the canvas of what Osamu Tezuka, the guy from Monster.
Palette.
Palette. Yeah. Canvas, palette, whatever you call it. They tried to paint this world multi-layered, and it is multi-layered, but it is not actually that detailed if you think about it now. There's a lot of questions that still
I can see where you're coming from. I mean, at the end of the day, yalah, lain orang.
Yeah, because even the concept kan, okay, the robots can have equal rights. I understand that, and I understand kan why the humans agree to this, even though it far-fetched in today's society kan. Sekarang kan we have the AI conversation, right? And it's not actually going well for, you know, AI and humanity to coexist right now. Okay, I think we all agree on this. People are afraid of AI at this point, but for some reason in this story, AI robotics kan, they get equal rights. Okay, that one is fine. I can accept it because maybe one day can we progress so far we are afraid less. Okay, so we put some trust on our non-organic brethren lah. Okay, but can you tell me exactly why these robots can have a sudden need kan to have children? They're mimicking humans kan? Okay, they're mimicking humans in drinking tea, eating, something like that. But for do you know the purpose of having children kan, procreation kan, is to continue kan your line tau. For a robot kan, for them to continue their line kan, they could just download a part of the information to a body into a new superior form. For some reason kan, the Siege kan took a robot from the junkyard. Okay, I want to know kan, where does this maternal paternal emotions kan create? Because one is illogical, and it's not actually mimicking a human nature lah. Okay, you can mimic a parent, but there's a reason why baby will not survive if we do not baby the kid. Okay. But robots know kan, a robot child is very hardy. You leave it alone in the rain kan for like 3 months kan, it will still function. Okay, it doesn't explain why they need to coddle what they call anak Siege. I forgot his name.
Yang mana?
Yang dia rescue dari junkyard tu, yang harga 500 euro.
Siege lah.
Anak Siege lah. Anak Siege.
Apa nama dia?
Anak angkat. Anak angkat dia.
Ya.
Aku tak ingat nama anak dia, but I can look it up for you.
But do you understand why I have questions kan? Some motivations kan.
Okay, I understand.
It doesn't actually go in line with the story tau. I mean, if AI wants to become more human kan, wouldn't it actually focus more on itself kan? Trying to become human instead of trying to build up something else becoming more human than them.
Okay, can I after this lepas ni kalau orang lain nak interject silakan. I understand where you're coming from, but I disagree on quite a lot of points there. I can see where you're coming from. If you like, buat apa kau nak mimik? Because kau boleh beranak pun. But this is
I know they want to mimic to become more human.
Okay, stop.
But the mimic apa part of children kan?
I need to answer your question. You've already made your point. Okay. With the advancement of robotics, obviously by this time it involves things like I've got a next question which actually Munif has mentioned it already. One of the question was which was kesempurnaan memerlukan ketidaksempurnaan pendapat anda. So anyway, we can either deal with it afterward, just after this, or we can. Okay. So essentially, I mean, with the advancement of robotics, I mean, at the moment, what robots we have at the moment, apa yang kita cakap kat dia buat kereta ke, dia nak help our phone, nak beritahu kita nak korang kanan ataupun nak kiri ke. But this is a time in which, if you can see the 7th most advanced robot is as such, so 7 robots in the story, and then kita tengok robot-robot yang the likes of Gesich and his wife, and then we can see one down yang jenis muka macam robot, tapi yet dia ada husband. The thing is, if you the affect AFFECT in cara diorang bertutur, cara lisan, dia bukannya robot aku nak makan nasi lemak kena. Dia dah by this time the technology is so much that a robot, the only thing that it doesn't have is a functioning heart, a functioning sexual organ to procreate ke apa. Tapi in a sense, it's evolved to a level, it's reaching almost emotional. So the need to have a child in this instant is not like aku Sultan Melaka, aku anak 1000 supaya aku ada progeny untuk forever. Dia nak, seronoknya ada anak kan nak boleh kita pergi park, main dengan anjing semua. That's the kind of feelings that these robots have. I mean, obviously this is jumping the gun already lah, and as we can say, kita dalam discussion ni hari ni memang penuh spoilers, kita tak ikut episode kan. I mean, why would Gesich react the way he did to the brother of that guy kan? The guy who you know, literally using his gun. But so the point is that if AI in robots has evolved, they have human emotions almost. Yelah, kita pun tak tahulah ni abad ke berapa, but ni science fiction kan, tapi you can assume.
I have the thing yang I have to actually point out tau. The Siege kan is one most advanced robots in the world tau. Dia Atom, Epsilon semuanya apa. Okay. Basically the more or less the same league lah. They have the macam they have like millions of personalities kan converge. You know, like what the doctor try to do with Atom kan masa nak selamatkan dia kan.
Itu Atom, but anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Here's the thing. Robbie has a wife, and he's not advanced at all.
Who?
Robbie.
Dia tak advanced macam Gesich, but they still macam, as I said, ada emotions. You know, dia tanya, you want your memberi?
They have emotions, yes. Okay, hold on. They have emotions, yes. But he's married and has a wife, okay?
Yeah.
Do you know why people get married or not married, or at least are together tau? They wanted to be a family, okay? Too logical. Then we have the robot children. Why is that?
As I said, the emotional need to have a child.
Okay, aku ada. Sorry. I have a answer which is a theory, because this never bothered me. But since hearing Andri asking this question, so aku ni lah. Alright. So towards in episode 6 and 7, Dr. Tenma appeared. So Dr. Tenma is Astro punya creator, Astro Boy punya creator.
Yes.
Atom punya creator, Astro Boy lah. Atom punya creator.
Atom punya.
So when they were trying to revive Atom, the people that were trying to revive Atom, which is the professor, aku tengok nama professor tu yang baik dengan Atom, the one that was almost killed, yang by the clan, by the cult punya member tu kan. So dia cakap like we cannot simulate ataupun we cannot reproduce whatever you did with Atom. It is too complex. Sebab what you managed to do was simulate all possible permutations of emotions. So you were able to program everything in Atom, and then baru Atom jadi hidup. So bila kita nak revive dia dan kita nak buat benda, kita tak mampu nak buat benda tu macam kamu buat benda tu. And then what we tried to do instead was since we cannot do what you did, so aku terbalik. They could not revive Atom. They did not know how Dr. Tenma designed Atom. So what they did was they tried to simulate every single permutation of emotions that can be coded onto Atom. And then masa dia buat benda tu, dia kata Atom tak hidup-hidup. His vitals were there, but he is not conscious. Dia tak conscious, and his face has a very weird reaction. Has a very weird expression. Lepas tu Dr. Tenma sampai, dia kata, kenapa muka dia macam tu? Lepas tu Dr. Tenma cakap, because you are asking him to process every single conceivable permutation and combination of emotional reaction of every single character that can be mapped in humanity. So he needs time to process that. That's why muka dia macam tu. Okay? And then dia tanya Dr. Tenma, then how do you avoid doing that? How do you get around that? So Dr. Tenma kata ada satu cara, but you don't do it. Lepas tu tak silap aku mula-mula dia kata dia tak buat, and then in the latter episode dia kata dia buat, which is to introduce extreme emotions. So the emotions that was mapped in Atom, and if we take Atom and / Gesicht as the most advanced AI in the story, meaning all other robots that are not Atom or Gesicht do not have as complex character / emotional mapping as the both of them. So kita tahu diorang tak cukup hebat. So bila Dr. Tenma kata macam tu, what it simply means is that if any Gesicht dengan Atom atau Android atau AI macam Atom dengan Gesicht adalah robot-robot yang mampu menjalani dan act out human emotions, all possible human emotions that has been mapped out. Okay? Now, if they are mapping that out, then it is not inconceivable that they also map out the human emotions of love, of the need for companionship, of the need for intimacy, and then the need for having offspring and building a family, because that is part of the entire human experience. And these robots, at the most advanced AI they have, would know that is part of the human experience that they are able to simulate. So when you are talking as to why diorang tiba-tiba nak ada anak, then it is part of their programming, where okay, I am a man, it would be normal for me, who looks like a perfect man, which is Gesicht, to have a wife. Otherwise it would be strange if I am a man that looks like a 38-year-old to be living alone on my own for the next 50 years and not changing any of my physical attributes. So people around me will think I am weird. So for me to be part of this complete humanoid cyborg experience with the highest possible level of AI, I need to simulate and mimic the life of man that I had been programmed with, so that I will look more inconspicuous. I will look more natural to the people around me, because I'm working with Interpol. I'm working with human and also robots on both sides of the need. So for me to have a companion doesn't necessarily reflect where did I get the need for companionship from. That is part of my programming. But me seeking companionship is a result of my programming, where it makes it logical for me to look close. Now let me finish. I'm not done. No, I'm not done. So that is the introduction. So bila Gesicht boleh mencapai kesedaran yang sebegitu, dan dia juga adalah robot yang mempunyai programming emosi yang tinggi, it is not strange for robots like him to develop extreme emotions, even though they were not programmed, because of the breadth of emotional programming that he has. So as we can see, the moment Atom was given that injection of extreme emotion so that he snaps out from processing the 9 billion punya permutations tu, he almost looked like he developed a desire to kill a living being masa dia pegang snail tu atau masa dia pegang benda tu. But because he is Atom, he is able to rationalize that extreme emotion and then find the logical thing to not do and do that instead. Okay? So Gesicht, because he did not go through what Atom went through, and he thought he had come to a point where, okay, aku adalah Gesik, ini wife aku nampak aku stop this man from destroying this robot. And then bila dah sampai dekat jangkiat tu, aku ambil sebab apa? A human man offered me. It is yours for whatever pound or whatever euros. And he took it. Alright? So for him, that marked the moment for his character where he took a step towards humanity. Whereby, aku mungkin tak boleh beranak dengan wife aku, tetapi this is as close as I can get to as another human being getting an adopted child. So then, the processing of emotions of a father that has finally obtained or gained a son becomes part of his natural day-to-day operation and processing. Jadi apabila anak dia mati, dia kenalah rasa marah. Sebab all breadth of emotions have been programmed into him. But because Gesik is an advanced AI, at that point, when he decided to kill Adolf punya brother, was the point where he subverted his programming, and the emotional programming yang dia dah tak boleh rationalize tu became extreme. So that's how I see it. Because that scene was not meant for us. That scene was meant for us. That scene was meant for, you know what would happen if an AI could become human or could feel like a human. They will do whatever Gesik did. But because they are an AI, they will do so with extreme prejudice or lack of prejudice for that matter. But that is what happens when AI becomes that. So that scene was needed because then the mirror to that scene was Gesik seeing Ali again, and Ali cakap, what are you doing here? Ali tembak dia. So when he showed empathy and sympathy to Ali bunuh dia. Tetapi apabila dia, dan pada masa yang sama, apabila dia consumed by his rage, because he's one step closer to emulating or simulating the human experience as advanced as he possibly could, he was denied that because another human took the life of his child. So if that is part of a human emotions punya programming, it is not inconceivable for a robot like Gesik or Atom to be able to process and come to this conclusion. So kalau dia boleh macam tu, any lesser AI would be able to go like, hey, I want a kid too. Why? That man, that human family has 2 kids. I want a kid too, like Brando does. So for me, it's not a major issue in that sense because it's less about us finding out why Gesik needed a kid, because Gesik's shtick is not about I want a kid, otherwise I'm less robot or I'm less human. Gesik's shtick is that I need to do my job as Gesik to investigate this murder, but during the investigation of this murder, every single people I interacted with happens to be making me ask questions about myself, questions that I have started asking myself again and again and again before this case. Aku nak jadi human, aku jumpa anak aku mati. Lepas tu bila aku investigate this case, benda tu naik balik. Kenapa? Oh, Gesik bunuh dengan senjata yang tidak boleh digunakan. Tetapi dia android, dia mana boleh bunuh orang? Tetapi dia bunuh orang. Okey, manusia yang dekat kepala Interpol tu, kita tutup kes ni. Kita jangan tunjuk kat orang. Sebab kalau kita tutup kes ni, we won't lose just Gesik, we will lose all androids and all robots from our Interpol punya investigation punya forces. So, nampak tak? So that's where the layers are. Where tiba-tiba when you put an android, okay, kau nak jadi sangat manusia kan? Nah, kau jadi manusia. Now you are doing something that any human would do for far less motivation. You know, aku punya kereta kena langgar, aku pukul orang. Ni anak kau mati, kena cincang-cincang, lepas tu nak dijual parts dia by Adolf punya adik. Takkanlah kau tak terasa nak bunuh, because pada kau, that is the human equivalent of your kid being mutilated, right? So this is what happens when an android becomes a human. So this is not about where Gesik finds that. It is about Urasawa putting that story macam, okay, for those who are wondering what would happen if an android becomes sentient or conscious enough to obtain human consciousness, this is what happens. No different. Kenapa? Because your programming is based on human, and when humans go through this shit, they just show anger. The anger comes out in rage, violence, and whatever else lah. So for me, that was what the scene was for. It was less about Gesik developing fatherhood or paternal punya love. It was about him, his programming, his AI programming, reaching the point where, as humans, we can process this shit, and this is how we deal with it. As androids, when you come to this shit, you will come to a point where I kill or cannot kill, because my programming tells me I cannot kill another human. So as an android, I should be able to defer to that, but I cannot. That's why I killed the man instead. So this is where they show that they sorok benda ni macam the failures of AI, where you program it so good that the AI has become human, but now we are in deeper trouble if we acknowledge this, because this means any AI now, the moment diorang punya emotional programming becomes gets tampered with, any robot can become a killing machine. So this is something that is not discussed by Pluto, because this is not the point. But that is one of the things that Urasawa was giving us at lah, macam hinting at, macam this is what could happen. Tiba-tiba semua robot boleh jadi senjata dan boleh bunuh semua human, sebab the only thing that's stopping them from injuring or killing humans is the programming, which is the AI law. So this is where I see the scene, and that tu je. Dia bukan macam dari mana dia tiba-tiba terasa nak ada anak. Dia nak mimik je. So pada dia, lepas dia mimik dia ada anak tu, job is done. I don't need to be human. Because for me, am I able to mimic? Yes. That's a checkbox tick. Tu je. Dia bukan kata macam aku nak jadi human. Kasih sayang aku terhadap robot aku ni sama tak macam kasih sayang jiran human aku? That is not what he's getting at. Just like, you know what? Maybe if we have a baby, we'll be more human than we already are. I think that is just it. It's not too it's nothing beyond that lah. But that's how I feel lah about it, because it never bothered me.
Andre?
Okay. In the beginning kan, I said gesit kan for him to have all these emotions kan, because he's one of the most advanced robots in the world. Dia, Atom, Brando, Hercules kan. Hercules, they can have children if they want to, because they are the most advanced robots in the world tau. They have the hardware capacity tau. Okay, I have no issue kan for them kan to have all these paternal emotions kan. My main issue with all these robot punya paternal feelings kan is like cross the board tau. Okay, and don't tell me kan it's just Brando kan only qualified to have robot children tau, because the robot children yang dia adopt kan came from an agency tau, given to other robot couples tau. So are you telling me that there are more than 7 of the world's most advanced robot in the world tau? For them to actually develop these sort of feelings kan, they must have amazing hardware for all this information to accumulate and to change kan. It's like a PS5. Okay, I cannot play games kan on my Nokia 3210, because that's most robots are in this world.
Kami faham apa kau cakap, Adri. Kami faham kau cakap they must have, and the answer is yes, they do. Because ini abad ke-74 kot, tak tahulah kan what century it is. They already have the technology, so it's one of those things in which I just take it as a given. Like what that's
the thing. As a given.
So you have to take it as a given, because otherwise you'll be questioning everything. I mean, there's nothing wrong about questioning either. I mean, then you'll have to question, asal Epsilon baik sangat nak jaga anak yatim yang mati dalam perang? Kau peduli sangat budak-budak tu tak ada mak bapak. You know, it's things like that. So that's how it is. And then it adds to the story lah with regards to macam, like how Gestage, it explains why Gestage memory got wiped, why, and then it also explains why you got the anti-robot group. Then they don't like this
artificial human punya ni. Actually,
yeah.
Okay, Kudo, you brought up you petik Epsilon tadi, and I will petik what Munif said. He says he sees each of the 7 as, inadvertently representing the 7 best qualities of man. Kan? So whatever. And what I feel is that since you petik in answering Anri, when you petik Epsilon tadi, I think that might have just lead me to an answer, not necessarily for Anri but for me, because Epsilon is apathy. Apathy, not empathy.
Pasal dia tak nak jadi askar.
Okay, dia tak nak jadi askar sebab dia choose pacifism. Dia choose to be pacifism is the way. We will not react, we will not interfere, we will not knee, but we will love. So whatever we do that would lead to conflict, confrontation, and eventual war and battle is something that he consciously avoids. Okay, so because dia tahu dia kuat, so the moment he does it, dia menang. Dan the moment kalau dia pick a side on the side of non-pacifism, then dia akan jadi masalah, because orang akan sentiasa treat him as a threat. So he has a very good self-conscious self-awareness to know that aku kuat. The moment aku tak choose pacifism, then I will become I will be stuck in the middle of tarik tali. Orang ni nak aku gang dia, orang ni aku nak gang dia. Kalau aku gang dia ni, then orang ni akan rasa tercabar ataupun terancam. Sebab apa? I am on their opponent atau their enemy punya side. So then he choose pacifism, and a way to reflect that his choice was right to him was the fact that dia jaga anak, dia jaga budak-budak anak yatim, where that is representative of man's future. So that is again extended symbolism where Urasawa kata, okay, Epsilon, engkau represent hope in mankind, where things and our aversion to confrontation, because engkau jaga anak, kau represent yang this is the way to the future, right? Pacifism. And then what happens to Epsilon? He comes to the point where tak boleh, aku kena take action. With great power comes great responsibility. I have the obligation. I need to take take the obligation to do this, because satu, dah tak ada orang lain. Dua, orang lain pun tak cukup kuat nak lawan dia ni. Aku je boleh lawan dia ni. So I have to do this. If I don't do this, then whatever I stand for will die. Then it doesn't matter if I die as a pacifist. These kids will die because I choose to not fight. You know? So that reflects the humanity that has been programmed. So similarly in Gesit, dia menjadi cerminan manusia, dan dia punya kes kena lalu dekat situlah, di mana engkau sebagai seorang detektif, sebagai seorang yang cognitive ability kau sangat bagus, engkau pun tak boleh, dan kau rasa engkau boleh handle semua konflik atau confrontation atau raw extreme emotions, engkau pun tak boleh. You will succumb to that. Cuma bezanya untuk engkau, your inciting incident adalah anak kau mati, anak angkat kau mati. For Epsilon, the inciting incident is that semua robot lain dah mati. You are the last one left outside of Atom that can save everyone, because no one can fight Pluto except you. So you need to give in to your principles, like how Gesit had given in, how Gesit gave in to his cognitive prowess, and then fuck it, I'm gonna kill this dude. You know, walaupun the justice tak setimpal. And then itu pula dia bagi lagi satu layer extra, di mana his boss say, okay, kita sorok benda ni, orang lain tak tahu, kita sorok benda ni, sebab kalau orang lain tahu Gesit macam ni, we will lose Gesit, and then we cannot have somebody like Gesit again. And then people will start questioning, what is this AI law, what is this human law, robot law, and all that. That is going to become a shit show, and this utopia will become a dystopia. So that is the question that Urasawa is posing by way of these two characters in such a way. So aku rasa that for me is the answer lah for Andri's question.
Nak ni satu benda je, before kalau saya bukan ignore, tapi saya nampak dah beberapa komen dari chat. We're going to answer the questions in a bit. So kepada sesiapa yang nak ada soalan daripada ke-8 episod, macam questions that need answering, we'll try. Kami bukanlah mengaku nak tahu semua benda pun, tapi kami ada bahan reference sebagainya, or we can have a discussion about any of your question. So sila jangan lupa, jangan malu nak bertanya lagi. We're going to answer your question, but in a bit. Okay, I don't want to belabor anything, but I'm giving a chance. Munif, you got anything to add to this our discussion on do you have any views on as they say in Blade Runner, Tyrell cakap, more human than human, that's our motto.
Okay, actually just sentuh a bit lah, because the Andri punya conundrum tadi is also quite interesting to me too, because I find myself, sebab I guess like, I don't want to call it over-analyzing, but I want shit to make sense lah, because sometimes in other IPs pun, dia macam aku cakap, there are many robot with feeling stories kan. And when you have a robot with feeling stories, then you have questions about the mechanism of the world lah. Okay, how is it that macam Andri cakap, okay, even not just in this but in other stories pun, okay, why are these selected robots are the ones yang capable of this and that, but then you have these other robots yang maybe who are not the main characters, but then diorang macam they don't display that same prowess. So are they like different models? Are they like ada yang outdated model of AI ke robot?
These 7 robots are actually built by 7 different people tau. They're not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are different. Hoffman made REAKSI, Tenma made Tenma and Atom, Ochanomizu made Uran, etc. Okay. And this creator
Okay,
get
so-
to kill as well. Okay, go.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Also, that's also a good reminder that these robots were created macam the origins dia lain tau, and you have dia punya creators pun macam completely lain kan, which actually goes to an answer which I think is at least satisfying for me lah. So again, aku pun tanya the same thing macam Andri tanya tau, bila aku tengok not just this but other robots with feelings kind of premises lah. So aku rasa why I'm okay with Pluto though, sebab I feel that especially in the advent of the very real AI punya technology sekarang kan, I find answers in the real world and also an answer from the law yang dah set up in Pluto tu sendiri. When you combine the two, aku rasa that this whole question that aku and Andri has, it macam make sense. So, okay, first things first is like why. Okay, macam Andri pun cakap dia faham why dia nak jadi parents dan semua, but dia just tak faham kenapa macam then other robots yang supposedly the non-advanced one, macam mana kenapa dia orang pun macam have that need juga macam nak jadi parents dan semua kan. I think it boils down to these two factors. Number one, the key here is AI. So as someone who's trying to, so aku macam know your enemy kan, aku pun trying to create I've been joining some programs to macam make your own AI chatbots, try to make your own AI punya program. So I'm just trying to dabble with that bit. So one of the things yang apa bila kata advance, AI tu advance kan, apa yang buatkan dia advance is dia punya training, because an AI gets cleverer with training. But then when you break it down, what is that training? So training though is an algorithm based kind of selective information absorption.
Artificial neural
kita tahu
network.
Macam kita tahu dalam dunia sekarang ni, we have an abundance of info dari social media, an abundance of info from news channels, an abundance of info from the World Wide Web in general kan. So when I translate that knowledge of how AI trains themselves or empower themselves into the world of Pluto, it relates macam bila dia kata dia tengah simulate with 7-9 billion personalities, so tak tahu yang mana satu baru dia akan boleh select and bangun kan. So it's the same as you have a supercomputer scour the internet and trying to get to one very specific conclusion. It's going to take time though. So in a way, benda yang dia orang buat tu, yang dia duk scour the personality, so it's the same as AI training. Dia macam scour the global web, trying to find that one thing yang akan select this personality for the thing lah. So putting that aside first, aku rasa because of the way how AI training is done, bagiku it makes sense that these robots akan ada keinginan tu lah macam nak ada anak, nak ada apa, so because why these things ada dalam internet tau. So kalau kau tengok macam first simple macam Facebook post kan, kata me and my kids happily bercuti, and then there's like 1 billion posts macam tu kan. So when the AI trains itself, scours the internet, scours the social media, you know what, I think for my demographic of the kind of human I'm mimicking, dia akan ada that satisfaction bila dia ada it now. So bila dia ada anak ke, ada anak, ada bini semua, so my demographic ni akan happy, says the internet. So boleh tengok that's why macam maybe Gesik comes to that conclusion ke contohnya apa semua kan. But the thing is, what makes this, bagi aku lah, this 7 robot, okay, yang tu from the real world punya explanation lah, because of AI training, aku tak terkejut dia orang nak jadi badut ke, nak jadi family man ke, nak jadi geram dengan anak kena bunuh and sanggup bunuh orang apa, tak terkejut, because with the way AI training is done, sky is the limit, because that's the internet. That's where they source dia punya data kan, to construct the personality. However, bagiku, what makes the 7 to special pula in that regard, while the whole world is populated with AI, is because yang ni ada the in-world punya explanation kan, which is the key factor of Sorry.
Okay. Sabar.
No.
Tak apa saja. Pandang terus.
ada terus. Power source kan. Okay, I just want to add something yang aku ingat tau yang Kudo cakap tadi kan. You say I overanalyze, and that's true. I overanalyze when I watch Pluto because it's a murder mystery. I analyze everything, the motivations. Even when there's a part kan, when the siege kan, he mentioned that.
Sorry.
Tak apa, Andri nak cakap sikit lagi. Sekejap lah.
Okay, sambung.
Okay,
so continue dulu.
When Gracie mentioned kan, he cannot remember a particular time period for 1 year, right?
Because memory got wiped out.
Yeah, I also analyzed that. There was a time kan, I thought Atom, the Siege, even Epsilon kan, are Pluto tau, basically. Yeah, because they had the capability to actually do this tau. And you have to remember kan, masa the Siege bunuh that human kan, he has the enough processing power kan, or what we call AI capability kan, to become human, finally become really human tau, because a real human kan can choose to say no kan to dia punya robot doctrine tau, harm no humans kan. He did that. So for me to actually watch and enjoy the show, right, I have to analyze everything, and you're right about that, Kudo. Maybe it just is my way lah to actually enjoy it.
Lain orang lain cara lah.
Yeah lah, maybe I enjoy it more like that instead of just enjoying it hopefully when I just stick everything face value lah kata orang.
You mean enjoy it wholesale. Accept it wholesale. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question.
Munif tak boleh cakap lagi.
Tak habis lagi? Sorry, Munif.
Tak habis lagi. I was interrupted. Okay, just recap a bit. Aku kata the conundrum that Andri goes through, aku macam find it okay dengan aku because of these two things. So number one, tadi aku cakap, which is the real world explanation of how AI trains itself. The World Wide Web is the source of data to construct a matrix of dia punya personality. That's why sky is the limit. Dia nak jadi badut ke, nak jadi bapa orang ke, nak jadi presiden ke, nak balas dendam saat anak dia mati ke, tak terkejut because all that shit is on the internet now. In news, in social media, in blogs, in 4chan, Reddit, what have you kan. Memang sky is the limit now. So I'm not surprised with what they want to be. Tapi again, it goes back to apa yang Andri cakap, but why is just when it comes to why just this 7, this is where aku rasa aku jumpa explanation dia within the law, within the story itself, pasal that's the importance of that induced trauma tu bagi aku. Sebab when this personality matrix yang all AI in the world ni cipta, bila dia gets introduced to this external high trauma, you'll find that in whatever human database, there are things yang kau tak ada guidelines yang kau tak boleh quantify tau. Because macam, how macam, okay, this robot, we know they went to the Central Asian conflict kan. So what blog post is there, or how many information on the internet ada in, hey, you just committed genocide on your own kind, here's how to deal with it. But how many articles of that is on the net now, for example kan. So how do you process that? Like even if people going through like chronic depression kan, macam is there a surefire tip macam nak repair pili tau, macam how to fix depression kan? There's none no. So when you get introduced to this really deep scarring trauma, we know in the show, number one, dia boleh buat kau snap out of it and select a personality out of billions because of that trauma. And the other thing aku rasa that trauma does is that it forces you to respond, to find meaning in your life because there's no guideline in the data pool yang dia guna untuk construct dia punya matrix. So there's no answer on the internet, there's no answer in the news, there's no answer in the blogs. So that's why they start to, nak jadi musician, nak protect alam sekitar, nak jadi parent, nak jadi apa. Because from that trauma, then their powerful AI could not find an answer on how to address that trauma. That's why they became these very, very unique personalities, the unique ones. In fact, we go back to North number 2, dia dah explain kat situ pun sebenarnya. Because kan masa orang tua tu duk kata, kau tak sentuh piano, your hands are just made for killing. kau punya tangan banyak tu kau pakai untuk bunuh orang, pergi mampus kan. So dia cakap, well, maybe because these hands has been used for killing, it's why I want to use these hands to create shit, like instead, in response. So, for a change. So that is evident yang the trauma that only these 7 robots go through, because the rest were wiped out. They were the victors. They were the last 7 standing robots. That's what makes it, there's none like them in the world, walaupun the world is populated by AI. So dia punya personality matrix has evolved untuk jadi special. Pasal all the other AIs didn't go through what they go through. They didn't have to commit genocide on their own kind. So these 7 do not know how to evolve from here. So that's why they cari a higher purpose. North number 2 literally said that. With why he wants to learn music. Kau tangan ni untuk bunuh? Ya, betul. So aku nak, I don't know, aku nak belajar music sekarang, because I don't want to be associated with that anymore. I want to forget that, even though I know I can't. I don't know. Because there's no guideline. There's nothing on the net to train my AI to get over this trauma. So trauma is key in the story. Trauma makes the individual machines special. Trauma makes the 7 AI stand out from the sea of AI. So this is how aku rationalize benda ni lah, for me lah.
I think Munif hit the nail on his head, because trauma is also the reason why Pluto was created, and then set off the things in motion. So Epsilon avoids trauma, and then he has to redeem himself by redeem himself by doing something to address everyone's collective trauma, because the fact that he takes himself out of the equation meant that the trauma continues, and then sekarang tinggal dia dengan atom je, you know. Brando and Achilles doesn't deal with trauma, because for them fighting is part of what they are. Faham tak? So they don't identify or associate themselves with that, and which is why fittingly they die in battle. And they die in a battle that they anticipated, that they embrace, that they know and they plan for, because they know that if my purpose is battle and I have killed God knows how many thousand of my own kind, the last battle that I fight is to find out the last few details as much as I possibly could about the killer of all these 7 of us. Then my battle and my fighting ada purpose. Atom punya creation is not about that. Atom punya creation is possibly the closest robot to human being. And Gasix punya story adalah, okay lah, aku dicipta sebagai seorang detektif yang terhebat dunia, maka aku akan mati dalam aku menjalankan kerja aku sebagai untuk mencari detektif terbaik. Tetapi sebenarnya pandai mana aku nak buat detektif work pun, and investigate and rungkai semua benda, aku tak boleh rungkai keinginan aku untuk menjadi manusia sebetulnya. So that is then the questions that Urasawa poses, and I think Munif does that very well by saying that it could be trauma that is the leading point. And betul lah. If I were to look at it, I think that would be it. That's how I would take it too, because North 2, aside from setting the backdrop of this entire AI punya narrative, blah 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 blah, human versus machine, I think Munif punya explanation gives North number 2 the biggest reason for it to be where it is in the story. Without us realizing, North number 2 is literally an AI. Aku nak deal dengan trauma aku. Can you help me? Itu je. Gasik is has more ownership towards dealing with this trauma, and he has dealt with it. Anak dia kena bunuh dengan adik Adolf, sampai Adolf pula berdendam, trauma juga, nampak tak? So Gasik is dealing with that, tapi dia dah kat belakang. Gasik dealt with the trauma of going to war for Thracia by getting a kid and becoming more human, so he feels less guilt on top of the fact that memory dia kena padam. Tetapi we don't see that process. We were not part of the process. The readers tak nampak benda tu. So North number 2 is the only point where Urasawa tells us, okay, this is a robot trying to figure out trauma. You nak jadi manusia kan? Deal with your trauma. So literally, he tries to deal with it, but evidently he cannot, because he's a robot. And I think Munif got it right. I feel. Because then it makes sense. It makes so much more sense that way. It already has made sense from a storytelling perspective. But now Munif has given the answer why North 2 needed to be where it is at in the story. Because kalau kita look at it from a trauma perspective, every damn story beat is trauma into trauma into trauma into trauma, and then they discovered, oh, sebenarnya Pluto was created because of trauma. It just makes sense. And the biggest thing about one of the biggest things about humanity is how do you deal with your trauma? And if you deal with your trauma well enough, then you will become a better man coming out of it, which is quite literally what the robots want to do. I want to become a better version of whatever man programmed me, and to the point that I feel that I am human, or I'm human enough. And that is where it is lah kot, aku rasa. And I think Munif got it right. I feel so lah.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question. Actually kind of a follow up to what we've discussed, but kita akan ke segmen kita yang seterusnya. So kita dah dalam in a way dalam sejam yang lepas, kita mungkin telah menjawab satu soalan saya yang saya kemukakan tadi. Apakah falsafah secara am yang anda rasakan dapat atau boleh dirumus dari siri ini, selain dari ianya sebuah siri berkonsepkan murder mystery. In a sense, I mean, we have looked at it from more of a philosophical angle. I mean, I don't extol the virtue. I mean, I don't, apa macam cakap, saya bukannya tahu knowledge dari segi robotics ke falsafah robotik dan sebagainya, because saya ada juga lagi satu question, which was saya berpendapat yang setengah konsep yang diutarakan oleh URASAWA ni tak asing jika dibandingkan dengan cerita science fiction lain, baik di media cetak or even the cinema. And I don't think URASAWA was copying it just because, but I think all these concepts have now been universally accepted. Like, you know, if you want to build robots, you will have to follow, in a way, RUKUN, robotik ASIMOV, which is like the 3 laws. RUKUN pertama, robot tak boleh mencederakan seorang manusia atau melalui tidak melakukan apa-apa menyebabkan seorang manusia dicederakan. Law number 2, robot perlu obey orders by human beings, kecuali order itu konflik dengan law yang pertama. Dan law ketiga lah, robot mesti protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. But because that's iRobot is essentially ini kan apa orang panggil by ASIMOV kan, the story. And then you got saya pernah sebut tadi kita cakap pasal memories, kepentingan dalam pentingnya memory dalam robot. Macam bila Gesish dengan isteri dia terasa something is wrong, kita tangkap gambar banyak masa kita pergi Europe. Because kalau kita tengok, siapa yang pernah nonton cerita Blade Runner kan, dia punya konsep satu, dia nak buat macam tadi saya ada sebut motor company yang buat replicant tu, nama Tyrell company. Tyrell sebut we want them to make more, our replicants are more human than human. And masa dia orang nak test this one new advanced replicant, using the void conf test yang dia boleh, usual replicant akan fail after a certain number of questions, tapi this replicant kept on going and going. So dia, selalunya manusia boleh buat macam tu, robot tak boleh. So the only difference robot ni compared dengan robot lain, dia ada memories. So I think kita punya falsafah is satu macam ni lah. I mean, ni bukannya nak menolak ke agama ke apa kan, tapi macam manusia, for me, RI, real intelligence, as opposed to artificial intelligence. You know, we have programming. We are not machines made of inorganic material. We are organic. Our brain is the best computer ever in the universe. Blah blah blah. Habis semua orang tahu tu, tapi it's just that, itulah, itu pasal macam bila saya tengok cerita ni, macam I kind of like take it as a given. The reason being, I don't even know how far we are in the future with this. So saya tak boleh mengguna teknologi sekarang sebagai kayu pengukur nak tahu boleh ke atau tak boleh. So itu saya punya pendapat je lah. Tapi just as opposed to don't want to belabor this further, do you guys agree or disagree whether or not in this story in Pluto, whether we have seen elements of this other, science fiction, kan nak kata tropes, but universal rules, and this kind of leads to the question, kesempurnaan memerlukan ketidaksempurnaan. Pendapat anda. So anybody wants to pick this question up or just give a little ulasan before we go on to soalan daripada chat? Or if I ask a question in such a convoluted way, you don't even know what I was asking. Sejak.
I think Anri's question alluded to the answers in your question lah. All these falsafah ni dah ada, and I think Gesik punya trauma tu might just be a great or the most fitting example we can find tonight. From the 3 laws of robotics, Gesik by proxy, by programming, dia tak boleh bunuh orang, dia bunuh orang. And then what was the 3 laws of robotics again?
Robot tak boleh bunuh orang atau by inaction menyebabkan orang
mati. Okay.
Second one, kena obey order seorang manusia, tapi provided order tu tak bercanggah dengan law number 1. Dan law ketiga, dia kena protect its own existence provided dia tak bercanggah dengan law 1 atau law 2.
Okay, so for law number 1, kita dah nampak Gesik punya trauma tu, kita dah nampak dia buat benda tu. And then by way of his memory being wiped, it's related to law number 2 where dia kena obey. So dia punya Interpol punya polis tu merasakan yang sekiranya memory tu tidak di-wipe, Gesik akan tertrauma dengan ghost in the shell dia. Oleh kerana itu, dia akan membuatkan Gesik tidak boleh membuat keputusan secara optimum. Dan akhirnya will lead to him going against the instruction. As we saw eventually kan, dia buat benda ikut dia punya ni sendiri, because pada dia parameter tu perlu dia mengikut parameter investigation tu. So he follows the conclusion, he follows the trail, he follows the evidence, and he does what he thinks is necessary. But when his trauma interferes with him, then the trauma colors his decision making, especially part yang macam bila dia nak kena take action. And we saw that at some points when sebelum dia kena tembak atau dia nak kena kejar, tiba-tiba dia ada flashback. Atau bila dia interact dengan orang macam Ali ke apa, tiba-tiba dia ada flashback. And then at the same time, even when Ali bunuh dia, just before Ali bunuh dia, if he was not caught up in his own empathy, he might have been able to detect that Ali is showing a weapon, betul tak? Means benda tu ni. So and then the third one adalah dia kena ada self preservation. Again, he goes against that. The Ali is a great example. Kalau dia nak preserve himself, he would be on guard all the time. He will not be caught up in whatever. In fact, the scene where he meets Ali and his untimely death tu pada aku is that time lah yang he was there because he was caught up in following the trail of the boy selling the flowers, because he's finding the humanity in all that and all that ni kan. Tetapi benda tu tersorok di sebalik, dia ni dulu ada connection dengan Muhammad. Tak, lala Ali keluar depan dia, Ali, boom, dia mati. So if he was more guarded, he would have like macam, Ali, what are you doing here? You are far away. And then when Ali raises his hand, he will detect that and he would have been able to evade it or something like that. And I think Gesik is the best example of your ni lah. Ketiga-tiga law tu telah dipersoalkan, dan ketiga-tiga law tu telah dipersoalan tentang ketiga-tiga law tu telah didukung oleh watak utama cerita ni lah, which is Gesik. Dan walaupun kita takkan boleh nak faham kenapa dia nak ada anak, tetapi kerana kita adalah manusia yang sedang menonton, tak sukar untuk kita meletakkan diri kita dalam kedudukan dia, dan merasakan, yep, I would do something even worse to Adolf's brother if I found out this dude kidnap my anak angkat and then pergi jual dekat somewhere under human trafficking, which is the equivalent lah kan.
I'll equalize that murder.
I will equalize this shit. So yeah, this is what we got, and I think they gave it in such a compelling way where Gesik punya persoalan ni berlangsung dengan latar Brando, Achilles, Epsilon, North number 2, Mont Blanc je lah, tak ada apa-apa semua, sebab Mont Blanc dia macam paling tak banyak,
tak ada apa.
dia just macam okay, kau adalah champion kepada quality atau karakter-karakter, sifat-sifat yang manusia pun belum tentu boleh capai. Sebab apa? Kau sampai to the point that kau dapat apa, patung dekat Alps walaupun kau pun tak nak patung sebab dia block the view and all that. So tu je lah aku rasa. But yeah, I think soalan kau telah dijawab oleh, akan boleh dijawab oleh Gesik lah. He drives the ni. And I feel like I can appreciate Andri's question, because if I cannot get behind Gesik's motivation, I think that's perfectly fine. Because for me, those kind of things come naturally. And Gesik is an AI, is an android, is a cyborg, and I cannot understand why you, who is not created as a man, would want to go down this route, even though it seems like you have been severely affected to the point of your death by it. Yeah, I can see why lah. You didn't have to go through this because you were not born like me. Why did your character have to go through this very tragic end? But such is the story lah kan. And perhaps that is the story of an android going through human life. You, who by right should not die by this kind of decisions, being bothered by this kind of traumas. You who is created to not have to deal with this kind of shit that would kill any man. You know? Thus meets your end like a man, because your persistence in pursuing this experience of man. You die in like how a man would die for becoming the curious cat. Okay lah, tak boleh buat apa lagi sih. Kau nak jadi manusia sangat kan pada Ruka. In a way lah.
Macam aku macam just to follow up apa kau cakap tu pun macam like the as I said, perfection, imperfection begets perfection or vice versa even. I mean, kesempurnaan memerlukan kesempurnaan. So kalau AI tu nak jadi sempurna seperti manusia, dia memerlukan ketidaksempurnaan seperti macam
manusia
you know, macam untuk aku masa Gesik di waktu akhir tu dia lalai. Dia macam,
which is a very human trait. Dia
ingat bini dia ingat okay lah, now kita boleh pergi Jepun, and then you know, bila nampak that boy back, moment, as if you were saying, and then kalau dia robot, aku terror, aku tahu kau akan tembak aku 20 seconds ago, dan tak ada cerita lah. Tapi but the beauty of it, this is I think as we all know and surmise as anyway, yang ini bukan cerita tapi yang bestnya konsep-konsep ni ada dalam cerita ni untuk kita bercakap selama 2 jam 7 minit, which I find mind-blowing sial. Okay, I mean yes, I'm still opening ke tak habis lagi ke Munif dengan Andri kalau nak jawab sebelum kita nak
let me just add something. I agree with Jamal that Gesik is keen to answering this question lah. What we want to answer from the question kan, we just have to watch Gesik. You see Gesik kan, when he's an advanced robot in this world kan, the more he becomes, the motivation kan is trying to, whether he likes to, I mean or not, like he's trying to become more human. Like what most robots want to do, they just want to imitate human, become more human. Do you see the irony kan? The more he gets kan, the more he abandons the 3 robotic rules now. He killed a man. He disobeyed orders. Okay. And at the end, apa yang Jamal mentioned, yang Ali kan, he didn't focus much on his self-preservation because by the time he's at that point kan, the level of trauma, whether he experienced or re-experienced kan, plays a part on how he views threat at that point of time lah. Basically at the time kan, he had a lot of things on his mind tau, you know. He wanted to visit Japan dengan his wife. He was also thinking of retiring kan. I think he mentioned kan, I want to stop doing this. I just want to stop thinking and investigating and see the ugliness of human. All I do is see people getting killed and robots getting destroyed. It's too much for me lah. More trauma. And he died as he becomes more human tau. It's irony at its best tau. I think that's the best tragic story you can tell from a hero point of view lah. I mean, the worst thing for a hero to become is to live long enough to become the villain. So tidak ada hero. So the human question kan rises from this sort of question kan is, does AI itself kan going to betray humanity kan in the long run tau? Because the three robotic laws kan, you just see at the third law, right? Ada possibility kan it could backfire tau. I mean, what happens kan when humans kan trying to do something to the AI kan, the robot kan,
Will
put extra controls protocols that will affect the self-preservation. Will they still follow the robotic laws, or would they just follow what the punya trauma, punya experience when the human experience kan comes into play? So this raises the unanswered question of does it pay off for humanity kan to let robots kan to experience the human journey?
The only way to answer macam nak dari simplistic way of thinking is we make sure kalau kita cipta robot mengikuti ASIMOV yang 3 rules tu, kena hardwire betul-betul, tak ada jalan belakang untuk diorang go around it lah. Tapi obviously, yalah, I'm not a robot. I don't have any knowledge in AI, and I don't know human beings have got that ability to do one yet. And obviously, as we can see from the story, they probably don't follow that rule to an absolute T. Munir, if you got anything to add, please, to the final question?
I have thoughts about this Asimov robot rules. Pasal apa? I feel that it is a system that is ultimately flawed. Pasal apa? Sebab you can apply this to a freaking toaster or some low functioning robot or something macam tu lah, then whatever kan? But the thing is, you are trying to apply this to an artificial intelligence. Why it becomes flawed and almost an oxymoron is because of 2 levels. Number one, the goal for this artificial intelligence is for them to, in a way, gain sentience and be their own person by, also having free will. So if you want something to ultimately achieve free will, then you cannot have a law saying that no matter what, cannot do this. So that just doesn't fly, because the very hallmark of free will, aka to be, literal humans, is to err and is to do all this like idiotic shit and effed up shit and unreasonable stuff, So if the goal or the height of your creation or the AI is to achieve free will, then you cannot have this sweeping triple rule to just not do this and that, because they'll just break it, and some more without enforcement, because if you're also really serious about this, all this AI should be built in with some kind of firewall. When you detect upon they're not inflicting hurt or assault a biological being, they just berhenti. I don't care what your opinion is. I don't care what your AI training is. I don't care what your justification or whatever is. Just physically incapable of doing so. That's where the law will make sense. However, it goes back to square one. Then they do not have free will to begin with, making them not a true AI.
Hey, because ada wayang Hollywood, aku takkan fikir dia nak tembak tapi tak boleh tembak, because dalam programming dia dah macam Mamat yang tu sebenarnya dia bos orang jahat, dia dah program shit wayang siapa. But anyway, go ahead.
So the point being, it's a very contradicting thing, because this law is applied to an AI, which, number one, if this law successfully applies to them, they will not be the best AI they can be, which is to achieve free will. And the second thing, here's the fun thing, in the world of Pluto, it's even crazier, because it is proven with trauma, they can just develop their AI into something completely different. So they'll just completely change the game. So you have these rules, you have this set of rules, for something that could change the game in an instant because of induced trauma. So you have the most loyal soldier in Gesek, but then because he went through this unimaginable thing, then suddenly your laws, which are just basically suggestions, they just start follow lah, because his AI, his personality matrix evolved into something that the 3 laws did not expect because of his trauma. So the law is like flawed in so many ways, because if it's successful, then it defeats the purpose of free will. And also at the same time, the things that are subjected to this law are creatures that can evolve and grow beyond the law. So so unless you have some kind of physical inhibitor, they're just incapable to detect biological threats or hit biological targets. Then the one thing that this law will do is apa tahu? Mudarat. In what way? In causing mass confusion, because with the case of Brau and the case of Pluto killing all these robots and even the humans who were connected to the Bora Commission, because of this law yang sebenarnya is not absolute, because we know boleh dilanggar and telah dilanggar pun, it creates confusion with the investigation, because you immediately at the top of your head you think a robot didn't do this mistakenly, because kau percaya sangat in the absoluteness of the law, which is not absolute actually. I see them as just a form of suggestion now.
Which is why Europol wiped his memory off, because it's going to be bad PR, kan? Alamak.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I say the laws are flawed. The laws are hilariously flawed. Sebab you are subjecting it to something yang will defeat the purpose of their creation, tak ada free will tu satu, and you are subjecting the laws to beings that can evolve and outgrow the law. But then at the same time, these dumb humans are thinking the law is absolute, and that no way a robot can kill another person. But no, they totally could, because they don't even have physical inhibitors to stop the bots from doing that. So macam there's a big flaw in the law, and or maybe to a certain extent in how humans will become complacent with the law. They think they don't think about the machinations behind that. They just get no way a robot is going to kill us, right? Kill a person. But it's not so black and white though. What I would do is that say if I was in a whatever AI commission ke apa ke, since we do want this AI to achieve free will, to become practically people, so they should be subjected to the same laws of the court like human beings, because when you have these 3 absolute laws tapi completely tak absolute, it just creates confusion for the investigators. But if you want these AIs to eventually become practically people, then subject them to human laws lah. So that's how I see it lah.
Okay, kita nak go on to the final section, penultimate section, which is the menjawab soalan daripada chat, which is not that onerous. Tapi saya ada one soalan yang agak trivial. This fella, who does Brau 1589 remind you of dari segi
Joker?
Dari wayang, kau Joker, Yaman Joker, Munif.
He's definitely an Ultron to me.
Ultron.
Ultron.
Andri.
He's a robot Hannibal Lecter lah for me lah.
For me, I'm with Andri. The first thing I thought of Hannibal Lecter, sial.
Yeah, because he said kan perfectly kan. The more human the robot gets kan, the more evil he will do. He will lie, he will cheat, he will kill, he will steal. Most important of all, he'll lie. He'll say, "Oh yes, I do not feel in danger," or something like that lah. Fuck around the mind of the creatures lah.
Anyway, okay, kita akan.
By the way, speaking of Brau, there's a change during the adaptation.
Sila.
So basically, in the manga, Brau dengan Gesek tukar memory chips. Tapi dalam the anime tak ada.
Tak ada. Oh, okay. Tak ingat.
I can after our discussion, I feel that I can see a reason why it might have been taken out is because kalau dia tukar, then Gesick punya journey to humanity or whatever
Mungkin
might be cheapen lah. You cheapen it because you can then kita boleh hypothesize mungkin Brow punya memory yang kacau dia sebab tu dia dapat motivation tu. Then kita pula and then we will never know why if he is so good, kenapa dia nak tukar memory chip tu dengan Brow. He should have known better. And kalau dia arrive at this conclusion and then dia mati dekat at the hands of Ali after taking into account whatever we've discussed, him not exchanging memory chips with Brow and him arriving at that naturally is better, reflects his journey better lah, because memang nampak lah kau betul-betul nak evolve kan, macam North nak evolve tapi North memang takkan boleh evolve. Kalau dia boleh jadi human sekalipun, badan dia dah macam tu. Dan kalau dia ubah badan dia jadi badan macam Gesick, then you are not North anymore. But Gesick was built to look like a human. He is like a tier 1 android, if there was such a thing in the world. And for Gesick, yes, you have to be fully human lah. You have to embrace humanity whatever ways you could. And kalau kau tukar memory chip kau dengan Brow, then hilang lah kau punya the value of your journey tu. And I think that might just be one of the reasons why lah.
Okay, just before we go on to soalan-soalan daripada chat, final Seiyu trivia. Brow ni Seiyu dia Tanaka Hideyuki, who's Don Quixote do Flamingo from One Piece. And B whatever yang robot yang Stern Ritter lawan
Busby.
The BG9.
Oh, okay, tak tahu.
Dia lawan siapa? Chef Soifon. Okay, and then just to go. Actually, the guy who voiced Gesick, dia antara actors yang paling tak banyak credit to his work. Fuji Shinshu, he was in a Kamen Rider called Kamen Rider Revised, and otherwise dia tak buat apa sangat pun. He voiced a character in the Blade Runner, Black Lotus, apa yang Japanese punya Netflix punya Atom is voiced by Hikasa Yoko. Usually voice of children, boys are done by women. Hikasa Yoko is Ryo Akiyama, who's the bassist in K-On! Epsilon is Miyano Mamoru. You will know him from Jojo, the pink Italian blonde guy. Apa nama? Giorno Giovanna. And he's Domu. And then he's Domu in the second highest second highest demon in Demon Slayer. We'll see him in the final season nanti. Brando Hidenobu Kiyoshi, he's the voice of Basho in Hunter x Hunter. And ada one guy and Shisui Uchiha in Naruto Shippuden.
Okay.
Shisui yang mana? Aku tak tengok.
Dia sikit appearance sikit.
Tapi if you're wondering why Hercules was pronounced Heracles in Japanese, because Heracles is the Greek Hercules. Hercules is the Roman name for Heracles. So
not just that. Pluto also.
Yalah. Koyama
Pluto
Rikiya
pun sama.
Yalah. Koyama Rikiya, he voiced tadi aku nampak nama dia, he was doing something very he's the Coyote Stomp in Bleach, one of the espadas. And Hajime no Ippo, Mamoru Takamura.
Boxing
Ni Jamal, Mamoru Takamura, kau ingat yang mana tak? Because aku nak sebut because kau minat Hajime no Ippo.
Tak, aku stop watching. So Mamoru is the guy that coached Ippo.
Dia senior. He's the one who always patut postingan. Dia mengamukkan apa kalau logo Ultraman 7.
Yes.
Oh, is that why you mentioned Ultraman 7 masa kita bincang tu? Okay. And Mont Blanc ada suara, tapi aku tak ingat masa bila disuarakan. Yasumoto Hiroki, which is Sado.
Tak perasan.
Sado from Bleach.
Pun tak banyak cakap.
Betul lah, sebab dia punya seiyu adalah tak payah cakap apa-apa. Mana kau dengar cakap dalam Bleach? So dia memang seiyu on paper je. Karakter yang tak banyak dialog.
Wife kepada guesting is Romy Park. Dia suara kepada Temari, Toshiro Hisugaya. Professor okay, I'm not going to go through all of them lah, tapi yang Dr. Roosevelt. Dr. Roosevelt, the bear. The teddy bear AI, Inoue Marina. Now she is oh god,
the soft toy.
The soft toy. Tapi dia, the reason I have to mention her because I'm really sure kenal.
Soft toy tu pun they introduce late in the anime. Ini aku personally perasan masa baca manga.
Ada.
Very early.
Okay.
Anime in the
lambat.
Lambat. Kalau kau baca manga, you see it quite early lah.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. So she is Armin Arlet in Attack on Titan. Momo Yao. She's Momo Yao. Andri will know who Momo Yao is. Anyway, so mari kita.
Who's Momo Yao?
The bear, the AI from American
Roosevelt.
Okay,
but
the bear.
Where's Momo Yao from?
Momo Yao, My Hero Academia, your favorite, the one that
Momo. Creative.
Oh sorry, Japanese Yao Momo. Tapi kalau baca manga yang cakap English dia kata Momo Yao. Momo Yao. Anyway, okay, let's go to soalan dari chat di segmen kita tertutup. Okay, so sorry chat, kita orang tak lupakan anda semua. Okay, kita pasal thus far kita sangatlah berfalsafah dalam kita punya chat ni, because I think it was kind of pointless to go through it episode by episode. Like lepas tu dia kona kanan ke kona kiri. But at least hopefully from the chat punya questions we can delve into plot lines or whatsoever. So we are going to start it backwards. Sorry lah. Hi Nick, if you're watching this, aku copy kau terus. It's so much easier doing it backwards. So category the great. Kategori ni banyak agak soalan dia ni, tapi we'll go by ni. So robot teddy bear tu apa kerja dia? Tak faham sangat. Dia Dr. Roosevelt nama dia. And then the funny thing is, they choose all the names that's relevant to American history because in the past we've got a president of the United States by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So Dr. Roosevelt is basically a sentient supercomputer. So it's basically the American AI. So seperti mana Amerika sekarang nak nampak seperti dia lah mencaturi dunia, dia pun macam tu jugalah, dia mencaturi dunia. Tak kisahlah pasal dia AI kan dia. Kalau in the end dia menyebabkan Amerika punya presiden tu jadi dia punya kuli batak, in which she was saying to the president that's what's going to happen, dia akan buat. So dia macam dia bukanlah dia yang menciptakan, dia tak cipta Pluto, dia tak cipta Bora, tapi dia mungkin macam tweak sana macam dia nak gaduh dia buat macam ni biar lepas ni kita yang untung, because dekat dalam cerita ni the US of Tracia ni tak ada dia punya, I think dia punya robotic laws lain. Dia tak boleh buat macam all these other countries in the world, so they cannot have a guessing, or they cannot have so diorang macam left out lah by their own volition, but at the same time they got this super big AI who's probably left that out of the nation's legal perundang-undang negara mereka, supaya dia tahu nanti satu hari AI dia nak rule the world kan, so dia make lah such a way that sorry, Jamal.
Teddy bear itulah Ultron yang sebenar.
Tu dia. Ada siapa nak tambah mengenai Dr. Roosevelt? kepada kategori?
Dia kalau aku nak tambah lah, aku rasa or at least it's shown yang they play a bigger role in the manga tau sebenarnya. Or more prevalent punya presence lah. Kalau tak silap aku the change yang dia macam put Roosevelt ni to the benches sikit, sorok sikit pasal aku faham dia nak ketengahkan, you know, the character conflicts, the philosophical debate, benda-benda yang kita bincang semua ni kan. So I can see why they did the change. Tapi pasal dalam manga tu Dr. Roosevelt ni actually dia boleh kata a lot of the F-ups yang terjadi in the story is instigated by him sebenarnya. The fact yang kan this whole conflict started with the Central Asian punya war tu. Central Asian punya war tu terjadi disebabkan ni lah macam Iraq lah, macam US korang ada weapon of mass destruction kan. Lepas tu yang Iraq tak ada lah, mana ada? Ada, kita akan serang. Dia bukan macam tu. So dalam this story dia cerita in a way yang Persia sebenarnya tengah nak terraform depa punya country untuk jadi daripada gurun jadi tempat yang menghijau. Tapi untuk buat satu depa develop Bora tu is a terraforming punya robot. So bukan untuk perang, bukan tahu, tapi in the meantime biasalah kau buat robot. So kau ada banyak prototype semua, and all the prototype tu dia bersorok yang bawah MOS tu kan. So bila yang Tracia ni dia paranoid, the US lah kira dia paranoid. Dia macam ni lah, macam even real life kau panggil UN pergi buat inspection pada Iran punya nukes lah apa semua kan. Dia macam ni ke? Dia hantar this Bora punya commission ni untuk pergi inspect Persia tu, tengok betul ke tak betul ada weapons of mass destruction. So the thing about the Bora Commission, mereka ni honest. Mereka beritahu, nampak macam tak ada weapon, tapi dia di bawah this MOS ni nampak ada banyak discarded robot prototypes. Not sure what that is. Yang the official statement dia berkata it's a terraforming robot yang prototype. So dia bagi report macam tu je. Tapi sama orang tu, lepas dia dah Commission submit the report dekat kajian US tu, dia cakap dekat the Tracia tu, dia kata itulah dia bukti weapon of mass destruction. So that escalation tu sebenarnya dalam manga ditunjuk benda-benda ni Roosevelt ni yang buat tau. Dia yang trigger dia tolak sikit tu, dia tarik situ sikit, and then jadi this whole conflict sebenarnya memang pasal dia. So tu dia punya peranan dalam manga. Kau akan tengok si teddy bear tu, kau akan lagi faham the damage yang dia buat lah. It's the same thing bagiku in the anime juga. Cuma dia je macam reveal at the end, tapi dia tak tunjuk dia duk throughout tu. Dia do actively, but dia tak tunjuk that part lah.
Ya, aku suka dia punya reveal. Aku tak ingat which episode. Nampak, I was like, at last nampak teddy bear ni. Just a quick one, because aku tadi sebenarnya satu soalan tapi aku tak tanya because it's kind of pointless to ask by the time we were talking. Anyway, one of the question was, adakah anda rasakan interpretasi Urasawa ini meminjam beberapa senario geopolitik yang berlaku di Timur Tengah, atau ianya hanya kebetulan? In my opinion, I don't think it's kebetulan. Despite the fact when Tezuka wrote this story in the 60s, it was set in the Middle East because owner pemikir robot Pluto tu Khalifah tau, pakai serban semua apa nama lah, and then Dr. Abu and all the wrong Arabic names. Tapi whatever it is, untuk aku tu dia, like who gave him a plane ticket, man? Like what the fuck, bro, ni naik aeroplane mana? Cilaka. I was like, yes.
Okay, so Kudo, untuk memberi sokongan kepada Kudo punya jawapan tadi, dia bukan pinjam tu. Pluto was written in 2003.
It was
written in 2003. It finished around 2009. The Iraq American War was between 2003 to 2011.
There you go. Coincidence much? Not likely. Okay, kategori ada lagi tu soalan. Tapi Amir bukan nak bagi kategori bolot, tapi soalan dia quite relevant. Dr. Abdullah Pluto Bora Sahat, mereka orang yang sama ke? Okay, ini cerita ni, part ni untuk aku was the best plot twist ever. Okay, siapa yang aku dah macam kepala aku dah tak betul sekarang ni. Anybody yang ada clarity of mind to show the flow? What?
Okay.
Okay, go.
I'll try lah. Sahat is Pluto.
Okay.
Bora Dr. Abdullah is Dr. Denmas
Koji.
Koji, yeah. So that we're talking about at least 3 different personality lah, unless I'm mistaken about Bora, because Bora is the terraform robot. He was already created. Dr. Abdullah Goji was created after the real Dr. Abdullah mati. And Sahad is basically anak Dr. Abdullah.
Yes.
Yeah. Where his consciousness was transferred to that robot body, it becomes Pluto.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. And in the end, the fake Dr. Dr. Abdullah, dia actually Abdullah. Abdullah. Aku gelak gila macam siapa, I don't know whether ni tunjukkanlah aku betapa uncle ya. Aku baca Tintin. Lepas tu ada one of the character nama Abdullah. Lepas tu so who was that? Abdullah. Lepas tu the Thompson twins kata, who? Abdullah lah. So like all these Western people cannot speak Arabic and so.
Hey, Kudo, let me just highlight this thing.
What?
I like the story, but the whole stereotype kan, the way they draw all these people from ethnicities kan, and also the name kan, is very stereotype. But for some reason, I'm not offended.
Yang mana? You talking about Tintin or you talking about
Bro, you talk about those people from the European kan, big nose pun kan, and then all these people from Arab kan, they like curved nose like a Jew, tapi tan skin, it's all stereotype.
Tapi in a way kalau kau tengok macam Professor Ochanomizu, I mean Tezuka punya the drawings in the past are very westernized anyway. Macam Ochanomizu actually obviously in Pluto is less caricature lah, tapi in the original draw just a quick one. Ini rupa Khalifah negara Arab yang tuan punya Pluto tu ada serban. Wah, nangkau kalau buat sekarang sure apa Okay, anyway, kategori the great lagi. Tak apa, your category the great question. Pluto boleh hack robot lain kan? Macam robot yang melukis mural dengan uran. Ke Sahad yang hack? Ke Bora? Siapa hack ni? Tapi kalau kita dah menjawab soalan tadi, kalau Pluto, it'll be Sahad lah. Because, I mean, Sahad's consciousness within Pluto lah.
Within Pluto, yes.
Because dia tahu pasal projek buat bunga tu kan.
Robot yang lukis mural tu adalah Pluto, tetapi yang melukis mural tu adalah consciousness Sahad dalam robot tu yang timbul. Because that was Sahad's dream to build the flower punya.
Tapi kan cakap pasal mural dia, the other person that did the mural was the King Darius the 14th. Who looks like Saddam Hussein. Who looks like Saddam Hussein. So to say it's coincidence. Nah.
Tak, aku rasa dia macam, aku rasa that moment was quite beautiful lah. Because Saddam Hussein tu dah jadi gila sampai dia lukis benda tu, tetapi kalau the scene came out after the revelation, atau macam clues tu dah banyak, so kita macam adakah Pluto tu sebenarnya Saddam Hussein ke apa benda ke? Tapi sebenarnya tak. It was just that the fact that dia jadi gila sampai tahap the only thing that he could draw on his walls was the dream that he had for his country, which was to terraform the land. Which is so sad, exactly. Which is so sad. Aku macam, sial lah. So macam, patut korang tahan dia macam tu je, dan korang tak faham pun. So macam, memang babi lah.
Biasalah macam kita tengok, I mean, arwah. I'm not saying he's the most perfect person ke apa, tapi at the end of the day, when it suits the Americans, they give him money. When it doesn't suit them, they say he's doing this all of that. As much as he was cruel and all that, Iraq was running. It looked like it was running quite fine, but then again, what do I know? And
then Gaza is
Kudo.
Ya, saya.
Kudo. Let me tell you one thing, because I was teaching before at the university, international university lah kan. So I do have actually a couple of Iraqi students which I actually asked when this whole thing went down kan. I kata okay, the whole Saddam Hussein thing, the whole US invasion thing, whatever kan. I have thoughts, but you are from there.
Try cakap Melayu, takut algoritma tangkap and ban kita punya.
Okay. So aku tanya lah, aku tanya student aku ni. So kau rasa macam mana kan? Kau dari situ. So aku tak nak dengar media cakap benda ke. So daripada penduduk Iraq tu sendiri kan, Iraq national kan. Dia kata apa? Dia kata memang betul lah, of course, macam the dude dia macam memang agak diktator benda semua kan. So dia pun adalah pendapat dia about Saddam tu lah. Tapi after his fall, and lepas tu memang kita tahu tentera US lepas dah settle dia orang belah kan. What happened was that dia kata after the fall of Saddam, yang jadi dia ada a rise of 100 more mini Saddam, so which sebenarnya made things worse. Dia kata whatever you think about Saddam, tapi dengan pihak barat punya intervention tu made things worse. So it is what it is lah. Itulah.
Okay, soalan yang seterusnya. Okay, kategori lagi. Okay, kenapa Muhammad Ali bunuh Gesih? Bukan dia dekat Central Asia ke? Aku nak jawab sekejap, tapi aku jawab maybe off kilter terus. Masa aku tengok tu kan, aku betul okay, what the hell is this kid doing here? Because he was back in that country lah. So tapi dalam kepala aku, either Gestik was in his La La Land, nak balik sangat rumah jumpa bini dia, nampak budak yang kerja untuk the Dutch flower girl tu yang bawa weapon, thinking look like Muhammad Ali, or memang tu Muhammad Ali naik kapal terbang, like just how Brown went to America to kill Roosevelt. So itu aku punya jawapan yang tak mungkin tak menjawab soalan. Anybody can give me
I thought Roosevelt was responsible for killing Gesich.
Same.
I know, but that little robot tu, was that the actual Muhammad Ali or Gesich yang nampak macam Muhammad Ali?
Okay, here's the thing tau. It could be Ali. It hasn't been confirmed 100% in the show. We were thought to believe it was Ali tau. But you have to see kan, model Ali kan was also common in the Netherlands tau. Where there's
because that woman had a similar robot, but obviously Ali tak ada tangan sebelah, tak ada dan sebagainya lah. Tak tahu whether or not dalam kepala Gesih macam dia terlalu lalala sangat. Ali. Sedangkan no, from if that tapi whatever it is, he got shot lah.
He got shot, yeah. There's a mental right. My boy!
Anybody else got anything else to add that you think that you got another answer?
Aku rasa
donut.
Apa? Kota?
Gesich kata itu donut. Ada berubah. Aduh.
Kalau in my opinion, aku rasa memang probably Roosevelt yang bawa si Ali tu, tapi the vessel of Ali lah, but the AI has been overwritten dah. Bawa pergi to where Gesik pasal apa? Sebab macam we know, okay, dia in a way, so Gesik is one of the most powerful robots kan, dengan dia punya cannon, dengan badan zeronium dia apa semua. You need to catch him by surprise. A one-on-one confrontation, kau punya run-of-the-mill assassin probably akan kena lauk lah. So what they did is that let's just campak this familiar face, because we know as powerful as he is, this guy in his attempt to, macam benda yang kau bincang tadi, dia jadi human sangat. So tiba-tiba macam that made him vulnerable, that made him imperfect, because he is the most perfect AI. Paling dekat dengan perfection, makin flawed dia jadi. So again macam Andri cakap lah, he let his guard down lah benda semua. So dia start tu macam dipengaruhi sentiment upon seeing the face of Ali tu. And that was the window yang Roosevelt perlukan untuk properly bunuh Gesik. So that decision, macam rather than panggil betul lah, assassin yang memang akan kena lauk dengan Gesik, so panggil familiar face, hey, what you doing here? The palm. Okay, that 1 second is all it needed. So it was a tactical decision, aku rasa. Not an illusion ke apa ke.
it was like sayang 1000 kali sayang. You of all places kat situ kena, tapi dia kena juga. Okay, this is actually a question from early on, like about how many, probably about from 2 hours ago, from Caleb. Is Pluto a boy? I just wondered if the question was actually is Epsilon a boy, pasal kalau Pluto boy lah.
Pluto is the boy lah. Yeah.
Tapi
Astro boy? Pluto. Yalah.
Tapi tak.
Sahat kan?
Sebab Epsilon yang nampak androgynous, so that's why probably
Yeah.
he was asking about Epsilon.
The reason aku sebut Epsilon is bukan pasal nampak original tu betul-betul juga, tapi pasal aku duk cari the original 1965 black and white anime tau for Tezuka macam ni. But apparently in between there is a 1980s color version. And tak salah aku, according to Wiki, they've changed Epsilon in that one to a girl. So whether the question was is Epsilon a boy or girl, tapi whether or not Epsilon punya suara dia pilih lelaki lah. But then again, I don't personally, I don't look any deeper into it. Okay lah, the pelakon suara dia jambu sikit lah, tapi that as nak kata gender band, personally I don't think so lah. Question. Okay, I think there is one last question, which is from, okay, back to category again. Kenapa Brow 1589 tak dibunuh? Bukan dia pernah bunuh manusia ke? Aku rasa because macam dia nak bagi dia siksa kot. Atau dia orang tak berani sentuh dia, takut. Anyway, opinion.
I have thought so.
Okay.
Aku rasa dia tak berani sentuh dia, but that is the only question I have from reading the manga last time. Aku pun tak tahu.
Aku tak tahu. Jamal, Munif?
My reasoning was that macam you take the world that they live in sebagai perspektif lah. Kenapa macam dia tak bunuh Brow kan? So the thing about humanity, apa benda yang special or amazing or is the first, even in the sense of committing atrocities, is an asset to be studied and not to be disposed of. Sebab kalau aku, katalah, let's just assume, ignore apa cakap, dia kata they have a reason why they percaya the 3 robotic rules is ironclad, and then something just broke that shit. You want to know why? Because there will be pihak manusia yang nak tahu kenapa to rectify things. There will be pihak manusia yang nak tahu kenapa to exploit that. Either way you look at it, this is amazing. Either way you look at it, this could be an asset, or at the very least an improvement to the current system that they have. So being the first robot to break the rules, dia sangat berharga. But also dia tak boleh dibiarkan to, macam if you don't shackle this guy, he will just go around and commit it again lah. Orang dah takut dengan dia kan. Orang dah ada that fear factor against him. So what do you do then? You incapacitate the guy and allow visits every now and then to study dia punya psyche lah, to maybe get answers as to why, or even better than why, how did you break the rules to begin with. So I've always seen him as an asset because he is an enigma. Makes sense dia pun tak dispose of him like trash, because he's not.
Kalau tidak, guessing tak ada siapa nak jumpa, nak cari idea pun. Okay, right. Sorry, Adri.
I have my theories lah. I agree with Munif. He's an asset. But just let me add something more lah. I think he's an anomaly now. Okay, he's not one of the most advanced robots on the planet tau. It's not like the other 7 tau. He's basically a robot, normal robot, standard issue. But he defied the 3 robotic rules tau without an advanced AI programming system tau. So he's an anomaly tau. So he's being left alone, buried under all those detention semua tu kan, kena cucuk apa, because they want to study him. Okay, or at least they want to conduct a series of studies on him now, because the longer he's around, the more they can understand to fix the problem in the long run tau. You see this thing kan, basically Brown ini kan, whether we agree or not kan, he's probably the only robot in this world kan who truly has free will now. Okay, he had he just talked or whatever he wanted, and we don't know if he's speaking the truth now. Okay, he may be lying masa you cakap dengan Atom, dengan apa Gesich, or maybe worse kan, he's telling half lies, which is even more impressive tau for dia punya human advancement tau. And he is not advanced. So something happened dengan dia punya AI kan, or dia punya hardware kan, and people are wanting to study kan how they're going to actually mimic this and put into control. So he is basically a living science experiment.
Actually, Andre, what you said to make me think of apa tau, benda yang kita bincang tadi. Macam tadi kan kalau kata, why out of all the worldwide AI tu, it's the 7 yang do all these amazing things and horrible things kan. Macam Gesik actually killed someone apa semua. So we justified that with trauma kan. Trauma can make your AI evolve beyond the boundaries of the law, beyond the boundaries of what your human creators anticipate. And considering apa yang Andri cakap dia, aku rasa boleh jadi Brow tu was probably an AI that committed murder without trauma. Probably for the heck of it tau. So sebab tu dia macam oh shit kan. Sebab tu dia punya personality matrix tu tak evolve because of trauma like the powerful 7 tu. It's just a regular AI who just probably one day just decided to kill someone. So sebab tu dia pun macam shit nak study dia. Why? Dia betul-betul enigma.
Aku rasa the answer was in episode 7. Bila Dr. Tenma came back to revive, to speed up Atom punya revival. 6 ke 7. Because dia kata, what did you do? I just gave Atom extreme emotions. If you guys recall, when Atom visited Brow, or was it when Gesik visited Brow for the last time? Aku rasa when Gesik visited Brow kot. The conversation was about Brow or a robot having extreme emotions, and that is when they can bypass that 3 laws, because the extreme emotion by nature akan sort of like make you lose your ability, your cognitive ability to be rational. So aku rasa Brow macam korang cakap, yes, dia boleh buat semua benda tu, and he's the first, and they keep him because they want to study him. But it could also be because the way he was programmed was imperfect. So his creator tak habis buat dia, and then thought that the creator found the right way to make him work, which is by introducing extreme emotions. Then the creator realized, oh fuck, this is the wrong thing to do. Because the moment you give an AI extreme emotions, then the 3 laws will not work anymore, no matter how hard you program that shit. And since we don't have a fail-safe, we are fucked. And then the creator gets killed by Brow, and then Brow goes on a killing spree, and then they catch him and then lock him down there. So then subsequently, all advanced AIs ala Gesik dengan Atom was created without extreme emotions. It could be that. Tapi ingat tak masa meeting Dr. Tenma jumpa dengan 2 other scientists tu, yang diorang nak ajak Dr. Tenma join diorang punya group to discuss about AI. And then Dr. Tenma kata, you tell me what are your discoveries and what are your plans first, what are your proposals first, before I decide I want to join or not. And then lepas diorang present, Dr. Tenma kata, apa yang korang cakap ni semua aku dah tahu, aku tak nak join korang. Lepas tu diorang tanya kenapa, and then Dr. Tenma said something along the lines of that, whatever you do with AI, you cannot give them extreme emotions ke, atau you cannot process them or you cannot program them in a certain way. That is the inherent weakness of AI. That's why they are not perfect. Sebab tu bila the professor yang jaga Atom tu jumpa Dr. Tenma, oh I finally get to meet you, Atom is a perfect creation. Lepas tu kata Atom is not perfect. Lepas tu dia kata why? Wah, dia pun pelik. Sebab apa? Kalau dia perfect, dia takkan macam ni. Sebab dia cannot lie, and that plays into everything else after that. When Atom was lying, when Gesik was lying, when Brow was lying, that's when we as the viewer we realize, oh shit, these guys are like the anomalies of the AIs. Somehow or rather, korang can break this law or this your programming because you guys figured out how to lie and then it doesn't fuck up your programming and your processing. So aku rasa mungkin ada kena-mengena dengan the fact that Brau punya creation at his point of creation, the creator bagi dia extreme emotions. But that's just me lah. But it's still je lah.
It's either that or probably it's just the nature of things. Things evolve.
Yeah, I think it could be a combination of both. Where Brau had the best of both worlds in that sense. Dah lah kau bagi aku extreme emotion, kau bagi aku AI yang akan sentiasa evolve. Silap lah, aku Ultron lah, baik. Aku Ultron all the way.
Just a quick one. Tapi aku tahu lah I'm aware of this anime although I do not know this character. This is the voice of Brau. Tadi kita sebut ada anime wrestling nama Kinnikuman. Ya, bibir tebal loh. Ni kawan dia, Terry Man. Kini
tak pernah aku tengok.
Cari ni. Macam kena cari ni.
Andri tak tengok Andri wrestling.
Korang ni. This is what Kinnikuman looks like. I'm sure you've nampak that.
Tak, I've seen it. Yeah.
But I've never watched it. It's a 70s.
Sama.
Nampak tu. Looks quite interesting. Tapi bibir tebal. Aku
tak pernah tertengok. Betul. Tapi dah tahu lah, dah lama lah.
Reboot is coming up soon.
Ada reboot?
I think so.
Anyway, okay, right. Okay, kita akan ke segmen kita yang terakhir. Okay, the last one ever bit is rating kita untuk Siri. Siri dah punya stone sampai aku tak ingat nama cerita ni. Pluto. Okay, aku punya rating is this is dangerous. 9 lah. Tak, because aku as you guys know easily pleased, and for me it ticks right the boxes. Aku macam seronok tengok. What else? 10 terlalu perfect tapi 9. Okay, Jamal, rating anda untuk
for me
6.
Yeah, that's a good point. Aku rasa 9 juga because and the bulk of the 9 points out of 10, macam aku setuju dengan kau, it's very hard to give a perfect 10. For me the bulk of the 9 comes from the story. Tetapi I cannot push it a 10 or I cannot give anything more. Because from an animation perspective, visual perspective, it's not really groundbreaking or anything lah. It's just getting to watch, Naoki Urasawa punya title getting animated again after Monsters. Sebab lepas Monster mana ada dah. So for me, it's just that lah. So visually, it was not that great. There were no like watermarks for like animation, but that 9 is just almost purely from the story alone, and that says enough about it. Any anime yang macam 9, lepas tu tak payah nak gunakan visuals nak dapatkan 9/10 tu. That means the anime is fucking good lah. That's it. Kalau dia macam ada 2D dengan 3D macam macam Your Name punya animation sikit, then confirm it's a 10 for me. It's an easy 10, but it's not.
Dia orang cakap ada orang cakap studio yang handle the 3D for this one is a studio in India. Tapi yang this American anime tuber lah ada tweet. Tapi dalam hati aku, what are you alluding to? What made in India is going to be crap, is it or something? Because macam I don't know, like Bleach dia punya satu studio tu from Indonesia, I think from Bali. Unless this Japanese studio wants to call itself Pantai Ubud atau, tapi it's got PT kan. PT kalau kena macam kita sendiri yang berat kat Indonesia. Anyway, Munif, rating anda untuk PLUTO.
Yeah, actually like about the same with Jamal in terms of scoring and even reasoning lah. So I definitely give it 9 out of 10, and 9 tu is 90% is because of the story, So that just goes to show betapa powernya dia punya story lah. That the bulk of the high score tu datang from the story. But kenapa dia tak dapat perfect 10 is because tu lah, macam it's not, the animation is competent and memang cantik pun in parts. It's just that it's not something, dia bukan macam you tengok Arcane for the first time kan, and you like Holy shit kan, macam dia punya
mind-blowing.
dia punya 2.5D animation tu, and then orang tak pernah buat lah, and then your jaw drops. Tak apa, macam the Spider-Verse muncul first time tu kan, and that was like what? So imagine if that was the animation, memang 10 out of 10 lah, memang tak terlawan lah. So it loses point because of that. Itulah funny thing, pasal kita cakap saya perfection was more tadi kan. So it loses point because it's not perfect kan. But at the end of the day, you know, it's perfect in its own way lah. It goes back to the topic yang kita bincang, even in the scoring. And I must say lah, actually I would have given it a 9.5 out of 10 even. Cuma tak apa nak bagi kat, sebab even in some parts, especially when the storm datang tu, so they rely on that computer generated banyak sangat, which I understand, you know, time constraints, what have you, and senang semua. As a 3D animator myself, I understand now. Tapi cuba bayang if the storm was like, you know, macam like a 2D drawing kind of animation, they really draw the storm ke apa, instead of certain parts yang dia pakai 3D, that it would have been more immersive to me, then it would have gone up to a 9.5 out of 10 lah. But you know, having said that, yeah, most of that 9 out of 10 tu datang from the story itself, that tells all you need to know. And that if you haven't watched it yet, dude, what are you doing? Give it a check.
Give it a check. Dan last but not least, Andre, rating anda.
Okay, I'm going to be a bit critical, but I think this is a fair rating. I think it's going to be an easy 9 out of 10. 92 out of 100 lah, if you want to be specific lah. Not because I'm going to say anything about the graphics. I don't care much about graphics. It has good story, it has good character development, and the interactions are solid. I only wish there will be more effort in the world building lah, basically. For me, in my case, I want to know more about the world setting, the geopolitical state of people living there. We see them macam they are, some of them look like they're trapped in the 80s, some of them trapped up in the 90s. Some of them, even Adolf kan, he looks like he's living a German Hamlet kan, in the 18th century tau. I just want to know kan, why are all these things happening? But overall kan, if they spend a bit on the world building kan, and make a good job out of it kan, obviously easy 10 out of 10. I think that those are fair ratings lah.
Okay, cool. So, nampaknya we don't have any further comments from chat with regard to their own rating to the
Cok, nak tanya korang. Is it the anime of the year for you guys?
Oh, susah.
Aku suka original IP as anime of the year. Adaptations ni aku kurang sikit. But I mean, an anime is an anime, I guess.
Yeah, I'll think about it when I do my video at the end of the year. I tend to do it. I just did one for 2022, so I'll think about it. Anyway,
macam untuk aku pula, macam as of now it's a bit hard to say, pasal memang yang Pluto ni story memang susah lah kalau ada anyone else nak lawan, especially when it comes to original stories. Nampak sangat susah lah. In that sense, it's a front runner for anime of the year. Tapi as maybe seorang kata, as shallow as shonen is apa semua, they've been quite the bangers macam tahun ni juga tau. And I know macam Bleach pun has quite good fight animations. Jujutsu Kaisen is just getting better and better. Lepas tu One Piece with the when datang Gear 4 tu pun was a big moment on the internet where semua orang just lovers and haters just cannot stop talking about it. So there have been banyak macam anime punya moments that as of now I just can't put my finger on it yet which one would be anime of the year lah. Because that is good for us because we're spoiled for choice.
Andre?
I'm watching a lot of animes. Currently, anime of the year contenders are Pluto maybe in the running lah. But the top two yang betul-betul saya tengok in terms of the same thing lah, storytelling and characterization kan. The Apothecary Diaries and Freyren, they're not done yet. So I have to watch them first. Yeah.
Freyren tengah viral sekarang.
Freyren, Is there any hate on Freeran? And if so, do you know why?
Because the lead character namanya Freeran kan, I think it's called racist in German.
Bukan pasal dia beat Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, is it?
They did beat, yeah, but
they did.
You know lah, the army is gonna come back after end.
Anyway, kita ada Nick Syafiq Iqbal memberi rating dia padu doh. Anime ni dah lama tak tengok anime dark macam ni. Banyak karakter dalam anime, monster cameo dalam anime ni. I've not read Monster, so I didn't pick that up. Kalau korang tengok anime Monster, banyak karakter sama, nama pun ada yang sama. Dr. Tenma. I didn't realize that.
Urasawa loves to do homages. So dia akan pakai balik nama-nama ni. So sebenarnya Dr. Tenma tu bukan dia ambil karakter daripada Pluto. Pluto tu yang homage kepada karakter kat dalam Monster. So that's why you know that Pluto is a seminal work from him. When I use the word seminal tu, I'm not being liberal with it sebab orang yang fan dengan Urasawa akan gaduh tau. Tak, dia punya seminal work 20th Century Boys. Tak, dia punya seminal work Monster. Akan ada orang-orang yang cakap macam tu. And you all are right. Cuma Urasawa ni bila dia tahu, okay, I am deeply passionate with this work, I will take opportunity to pay homage, to make references to things that has already happened in real life. In that sense, dia suka benda-benda macam tu. So, itulah. So, Dr. Tenma is just a reference to Monster, which is the lead character. And Monster, korang yang tak baca atau tengok, kena tengok lah.
Tapi Tenma is bapak Astro Boy in Astro Boy.
Tak, so kau faham tak? So kau faham tak the chain of dia buat Monster, nama main character dia yang ada reference.
Ini Osamu Tezuka, ini bukan nama ni.
No, tak, let me finish. So kau kena faham, Urasawa dia buat Monster yang tak ada relation to, tak ada reference to Astro Boy, has a character called Dr. Tenma, okay. and then in Pluto he does a callback to Dr. Tenma, which you know you can like, bukan Pluto, bukan Monster ada orang nama Dr. Tenma ke? Bukan Astro Boy punya creator in the actual Astro Boy punya ni under Tezuka is Tenma ke? So Urasawa just loves that. I think that's one of the reasons why I like him as a creator. Dia tak nampak macam aku nak name drop, tapi where he does it with a lot of craft and love. So kau tahu benda ni dia genuine. Aku sayang Osamu Tezuka. Okay, aku nak buat reference. Aku sayang mama ni, aku nak buat reference. So I get that vibe from the way he drops names lah. And he does it tastefully. Dia hanya buat benda tu bila project tu memang ada a lot of love. Bila kau tengok macam Billy Bat tu, mana ada reference ni? Tak ada pun. 20th Century Boys tak ada pun reference pelik ni.
Billy Bat okay tak cerita dia?
It's not for me.
You said you dropped it. Why?
After 10 issues. It's not for me. Aku rasa dia macam kau ingat tak cerita Hugo yang Baron Sasha?
Belum. Yeah. Cerita lama lah.
Cerita lama lah. It's I'm not saying it's exactly the same story, but it's those kind of stories where ini macam ada a lot of surrealism
because apparently
dia ada macam ini vigilante ke, dia ni superhero ke, dia ni superhero play character ke, macam tu.
Dia macam ni sikit flying over my head sikit konsep dia, because it's affecting the entire world and over the millennia. So like, how can this bad character, like, which looks like he was trying to get the rights to draw it kan, because the main character in Billy Bat is an artist. So aku macam, aku tahu Urasawa ni suka buat cerita pelik, tapi macam, ini pelik gila.
For me,
pelik
Urasawa pelik sangat ya. Because for me, Urasawa adalah the mangaka that I go to bila aku nak cerita yang cerita-cerita, macam mana cakap kan dalam buku kau ada fiction and non-fiction kan. Usually you read non-fiction if it's like sociopolitics ke socioeconomics. So for me, bila kau nak baca benda-benda quote-unquote berat macam tu, in manga world, aku go to Urasawa. So the 20th Century Boys is speculative fiction, ada a little bit of sci-fi, tapi there's a lot of heart in it. So macam Pluto is a sci-fi. So I go to Urasawa for this kind of heavy stories, macam Monster, Monster gila babi. But the moment Urasawa does something beyond that, aku macam, lama, aku tak baca kau untuk benda-benda ni bro. Dia jadi macam tu. So maybe I need to go back to Urasawa to Billy Bat for that. I don't know lah. Yeah. Tapi kalau Urasawa, you just go to 20th Century Boys, which I feel before Billy Bat was his weirdest, paling out there punya story.
20th Century Boys is actually quite weird as well.
It is quite weird sebab macam ini cerita yang ada time travelling ke tak ada ke?
Exactly.
Alien ke apa benda ni?
Exactly.
But tapi bila kau baca cerita tu macam wow, a bunch of friends that living in some random neighborhood in Japan.
I know.
Is going to save the world, Japan and the world in the future just because diorang kecil-kecil main sama-sama dan ada time capsule, tapi and some random dude that got access to the time capsule is doing everything they said that they plan in the time capsule. So dalam time capsule tu dia okay lah komik akan ada monster serang dunia. Pak, monster tu datang serang dunia. Betul-betul ada. So macam shit, apa benda ni sial? So like gila kau. And only Urasawa can wield that kind of story while making sure that every important character akan ada dia punya screen time dan akan ada payoff dia. So susah nak kalau mangaka lain it's just gonna be another shonen title or whatever lah pada aku.
Anyway, okay lah, kita sudah reach our 3 hour
8 episod 3 jam tu kira fair pada aku.
Kira fair lah, I guess. Yeah.
8 1 hour episode saya, bukan 8 half 30 minute episode.
8 jam.
So
okay, so kita tiba di penghujung sesi ni. Untuk Pluto, diharap penonton di rumah, the 3 of you that waited all this while, or the 3 of you who just arrived here but you are too late. Diharapkan penonton rumah terhibur dengan ulasan kami malam ni. Sesi kami yang akan datang, kami berharap untuk memberi ulasan secara lanjut sekali lagi untuk Spy Family, the last episode at the end of the season 2. Dan insya-Allah, because saya hari itu dah sebut tapi tak buat lagi, Jujutsu Kaisen. Dan selepas itu as usual, aktiviti Animo Division at the end of the year include intisari untuk siri-siri anime yang akan ke udara pada musim dingin 2024. So hopefully Andri, if you're up to it, we can go to live chat again, and I don't know whether if Nazi or anybody else are interested to just talk shit or to have a look at the list and see what's coming up next year. Dan seperti biasa, jika sempat, saya akan menyenaraikan saya punya top 10 anime untuk 2023 juga. So watch out for that. So jika anda for the first time datang ke sesi kami, jangan lupa untuk berlanggan, berkongsi dan tanya butang like untuk kedua-dua laman YouTube STOMACHOFCHAOS dan BuzzPopTV, laman pop culture suka ramai Malaysia, supaya anda tidak ketinggalan untuk sesi kami yang akan datang. Jika anda ingin menonton sesi-sesi kami yang sebelum ini, selain dari arcade kami yang mengandungi sesi ulasan stream yang penuh, laman YouTube STOMACHOFCHAOS juga mengandungi video ringkas yang mengambil tema spesifik dari perbincangan kami yang lampau. So terima kasih sekali lagi kerana sudi bersama kami. Pada rakan panelis hari ini, Otsukaran Sabah, Desta, tu Jamal, tu Munif dan tu Andri dan saya Kudo Maharizu. Jores mata tode, kita jumpa lagi di masa yang akan datang. Ciao.
Thank you guys.
Hello.